Alright, welcome everyone to the Formula Trackstars Blue Moon Bay 500. It's a bit of a different format we've got going on this week. So it's a non-championship round. Basically, anyone in the Trackstars community or beyond can join. It's going to be a long couple of hundred laps around the gorgeous Blue Moon Bay 500. As some of you know, we already did a Blue Moon Bay 500 in the touring cars, and luckily enough, I was able to come all over to it was a pretty solid race, and hopefully my fellow commentator can hear me. Hello, Spudley.
Mine?
Yep, there we go.
Loud and clear?
Yeah, man.
Alright. Live?
Yeah, man.
Alright, sweet. That's good. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to what is a non-championship round here at the Blue Moon Bay 500, where we have a former winner, as you would have heard earlier, joining us in the commentary box. And so Ryan, I'm surprised you're not here racing on this track to make it a double crown, a win in the touring car 500 and now in the Formula 500. So I'm surprised to know why you didn't decide to race it.
I was going to race, but then when the times and stuff started to move around, I was kind of like, I don't know, and then now the times got set back. So if the times had kind of stayed like this to start off, then I would have raced to try and give Woodsy and Speedy a bit of a go. But I mean, if you want to change the streamer and you want to stream it, I'll race. But other than that, mate, you'll be joined in the com box with me for 150 odd laps.
That's all good. But yeah, you definitely know how it is to win the 500. So what do you think these drivers will be in for tonight when it comes to the 500, 156 laps in the SF19s?
I don't know, man. I just think kind of consistency, I guess. And obviously we have no damage on as well, so that kind of puts another shake in the box. But we see Woodsy on a purple lap, so I'm assuming Woodsy's going to go to the top here. The Lyrox just went to the top. Woodsy's just shy of him with a 38.777. So we got Lyrox with a 38.755 and Woodsy with a 38.777. So yeah, it's just consistency, patience, I guess. Don't fight each other for their slipstream. I don't know if there's people in here that are watching the Touring Car 500, but about 15 laps to go, we went green and me and Woodsy kind of stuck together. He kind of stuck in my rear bumper and we just kind of bump drafted each other along. So second last lap we caught the lead back. We kind of worked together as such. So if you want to pull
essentially you're right up my clacker the whole up until the last lap, and then you and Woodsy decided to make the move, and and then obviously it was just the last corner. That's where she wrote. So, but no, it was a very fun 500. It was my second 500 in the touring cars, but I'm yet to do a 500 in the formulas. It just I think obviously in a way, I think us main series drivers need to have a good rest from racing on a Sunday, and I guess as this is a non-championship round, then why not? But we see main series drivers such as Lyrox 22, Woodsy, and then even a guy like Speedy Tyres. You know, they're all coming in, getting some laps in, and just want to keep their Sunday just a bit of racing action on Sundays, I guess.
Yeah, well, I guess in a way I'm kind of like you as well. Like I want to have that kind of week off, and believe me, it's pretty good being on this side of the track. So it's just about dinner, and now I'm just sitting here, and I don't know about you, man. It's pretty cold down here, so I'm sitting here in my pizza woody and just chilling, watching some racing. So I know it's going to be a long, probably hour and a half or so. But yeah, it's good to see some of the main drivers, and we do have drivers from the TS3 as well in SS Boy. We have Blocky Rex in here as well, who I haven't seen race. Venti as well from the TS. He's TS2. Is he not?
Yeah, I believe TS2, and I believe he's the F2 as well. So yeah, it's a good mix of categories here. We have main series drivers, And then we have, like you said, the Division 2 drivers and the touring cars, Division 2 and the Formula 2 drivers, and then even we have the TS3 drivers. So it's a good mixture of drivers here. And then a few new faces like Blocky Rex, and then we even have Marchy Boy 96, who comes from the ISAR Racing Group, Intercontinental Esports Racing Group, and he himself owns his own team in the racing league in Trailblazers, where he owns the Marchy pit crew, and he's got drivers such as Benjo and guys like Renegade in that team. So it's always good for Benjo to invite Marchy along, and it's good to have his presence here. So we'll have to wait and see what his pace is like against the rest of the field.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one to watch, I think. And we have Mr. Diswood on the wheel. So I don't know if you guys know, but Mr. Diswood is usually a dual shot controller player. So he's looks like he's gone out, got a wheel, and he's set up on the wheel. So he's got to get some practice on. And welcome to you, my friend. Good luck in the race, and let's see if you can get this win, considering I snaked the last one off you.
Yeah, he still must be pretty cut when it comes to you taking the victory on the last lap, the last corner, more or less. So that's quite funny. But yeah, but like you said, well, it's good to see. Well, Diswood changed up onto the wheel, so hopefully, well, I guess in a way, all you're doing, Woodsy, is you're just turning left, mate, with a wheel. So there's no real skill in that, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. You might want to lube up the spring on the wheel from turning left, make money to turn right every now and again.
I guess the only time you have to turn right is when you exit the pit lane, but more or less. We have Sir Slayer in the chat as well, and as well as Gabans as well. So even Gabans is racing here tonight as well. So we've got a grid of 12 drivers tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So it is a non-championship round here at the Blue Moon Bay International Circuit, where it is located on the west coast of the US of A, just only north of north is the north of Laguna Seca, and it's actually near, I think it was, I'm just trying to remember seeing it on a map somewhere that it was near Laguna Seca, and I think it was Willow Springs. So I think it was like in the center of those two on the west coast of the USA. So it's quite interesting. But yeah, but hopefully next year, DJ, we might be able to get a track like Daytona coming back onto Gran Turismo.
Yeah, obviously we all had the release of the GT7 and official release and pre-ordering and stuff like that. So we did see some old tracks come back. So it would be good to see Daytona in, Trial Mountain as well. So really, I don't know about you, but I can't wait till GT7, to be honest.
Oh man, I'm so looking forward to that. I believe everybody is as well. I think most of us have just more or less had enough of the problems that GT Sport is creating. So I think we're all just wanting just to get out of that, and that gets in a way just start fresh with GT7, with basically bringing back the old style of racing. So more or less get the old stuff of racing, the old circuits, the old tracks. And yeah, and it's going to be a great experience. But as we look towards the timing screen, it looks like so far Gabans is on pole position for the It's Racing Esports car number 55, and in second place, I believe that is Lurox 22. So it's quite an interesting, nice mix-up of.
Sorry, the timing's a bit wonky, so I think they will need to go through sector 1. But if I see it correctly, it's Lurox. So it's Lurox, then Woodsy, and then Marchy Boy. Oh, not Marchy Boy, sorry, Speedy Tires. So they're all going out here. Oh, we've got Robbo in the mix as well. So it looks like Robbo. Is that Robbo front row? Oh no, Woodsy just pipped in by a little tiny bit. So we've got a Lurox and Diswood front row, followed by a Robbo Sport Speedy Tires second row. So it's going to be a watch, I think. So.
Well, you look at that, the top four is the Robbo Sport Racing Camp in Lurox 22 and Robbo Sport, and then you've got Woods and Speedy Tyres in the CP Motorsport. So big names, big names such as my team in the Mash Buds Racing are all absent tonight, and everyone's doing their own things. So it's good to give my crew a bit of a rest, but it will be good to see a new battle form for Robbo Sport versus CP Motorsports.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a good one to watch. So they've all come through now. They've all gone past the first sector, so it's kind of reset it. So It's Racing is going to sort out the grid to go racing. So if you guys haven't seen how we start, so we'll exit the race, they'll follow the safety car for a lap, then they'll go into formation, and then the safety car will come in, and then they'll go racing. So it's going to be certainly one to watch. So hopefully they read the briefing and they know what's going on, but it's going to be one to watch, I think.
Absolutely, and then we even see a few guys. Well, looks like what I'm seeing in 6th place, DJ Mountain Goat 13. I've never seen him drive an SF19 before. I've seen him in a Group 3, Group 4, and even we've seen him in the Group 2s for the Straight On Racing Team. So this will be this will be a new adventure for Mountain Goat, and hopefully, and maybe if we see it as we know Goat's pace, it'll be good to see him change it up a bit from the chin tops.
Yeah, exactly. Like I haven't seen him race the SFs either, so it'll definitely be one to watch out for. But we are using racing soft tyres only, so we're not having to worry about softs, mediums, hards. Realistically, it's kind of just a fun race as such. So
exactly,
no sand on this change. Popper in the comments, no sand on this track, hence why Pap didn't make an appearance.
Oh mate, I don't even think he'd make an appearance. I don't even know if he'd make the start line.
Yeah, seems a bit.
But yeah, no, but it's definitely going to be an interesting race. I mean, like as we know, it not being a non-championship, but obviously we want to see, you know, the best of the best battling for the win. So I guess in a way we might see Mountain Goat come away with a shock victory, and then if he comes away with the victory in his debut outing in the formulas, then that'll be a good start for him and the Straight On Racing Team. As we saw with Speedy Tyres back at Belgium, that was his first time in an SF19 making his debut, and he was absolutely nowhere, but in the last stint came all the way through to manage 6th place in the Formula Track Stars and the CP Motorsport. So the same could happen for Mountain Goat.
Yeah, and obviously we're not going to know who the winner is until, I'd say, probably the last
corner of the last lap.
Yeah, last corner of the last lap, as we saw in our 500. So it's
exactly,
we can't exactly pick a winner straight away. So for everyone in the chat, place your bets, place your Monopoly money on who you guys think might take the win out of this one.
Exactly right. So if I have to pick a dark horse to win this race, I would actually go with somebody like I would go with somebody like Lurox 22. But we've seen in the previous Blue Moon Bay 500 in the SF19s, it was a non-championship round as well. And we saw Farrell PS from the RoboSport Racing Camp actually take the victory in the RoboSport entry. So it might be a double. It might be 2 wins in a row for the RoboSport camp, but we'll have to wait and see. As we have It's Racing leading the pack, and all drivers will be behind It's Racing at the commence of the first couple of laps before he darts into the pit lane, and then we go green flag racing.
Yeah, obviously it keeps. So there's 158 laps. That's just to incorporate the two formation laps. So they're all going to warm up their tyres, try not to use as much as they can. They're only starting with half a tank of fuel. So I guess it kind of plays as well, like what kind of strategy will you use when it comes to this? Like, I don't know about me, but what would your strategy be in this instance? Like, what would you try and aim?
Well, I guess for the start, I would just throw the fuel mixture all the way down to 6, and I would just obviously do a bit of weaving of the tyres and just get a little bit of temperature in the brakes, because the only braking part of the track is going to be that first corner, so you need to have warm tyres and hot brakes on the car to make that first corner nice and steady and to make it nice and fast. But yeah, I'll just be throwing the fuel mixture down to 6 and just cruising around just like these guys are doing, and then yeah, just wait for the green flag to go. And then I think more or less, I guess in a way, I mean, you don't really see it in Formula Racing or in IndyCar, people bump drafting, but with the game's physics on GT Sport, bump drafting is more or less a bit of a thing, so you can get away with it on this game.
Yeah, Well, we did see it obviously at the touring car 500. Obviously me, Woodsy, and then going through the whole start. So we had a lot of people bump drafting, trying to get towards the front. So people think that you try and take position off people and you tag them, try and push them along, you might lose speed, but that's actually not the case. So just jump on the bump draft, lock yourself into the rear bumper, kind of ease off and lift and coast into turn 1 and lock yourself back in and push them through turn 2, 3, 4. So I think that's probably the safest way to be possible. As we start to form up, the safety car is starting to pull away now, about to go into the pit lane. He's having a bit of a slide there. So we've got Lurox on pole, followed by Diswood, Speedy Tyres 4th, Robbo 3rd, sorry. They're taking a nice formation.
And it's Speedy Tyres in 4th. Yep. So a nice city pace. And then as he starts to get towards the line, it'll be lights out flag, green flag racing. So we'll wait for Lurox to put the hammer down. It's going to be any second now. And we go lights out, green flag racing. We got Lurox 22 leading the way, but Speedy Tyres is coming through the middle. It's going to almost make it 3 wide, but he sticks behind his teammate in Dishwood 1, who goes around the outside. And we've got Speedy Tyres has actually come away with the lead of the race on the first corner. Yeah, absolutely amazing scene, amazing. Third and first for Speedy Tyres, but we know this game, TJ, that once you take the lead, you're not going to keep the lead for very long. As we see drivers going all over the track just to try and find as much clip room as they can. But this is the key thing in oval racing. You don't want to make moves too early. I mean, sure, you want to make a move and be in the lead of the race, but as we see with Lurox now taking back the lead of the race, it's too early to call, like you said, of who's going to win the race. So we see a 3 wide moment between Venti, Marchie Boy, and we see Venti's, actually Benjo 19 coming through, but they all come out unscathed there. So great job by everybody to avoid hitting the barriers. But so far, this Lurox got a nice, good, comfortable margin ahead of him over Speedy Tyres, as he's actually pulling away from these guys. And these guys are battling tooth and nail and they're losing time to Lurox, and this is crucial for Lurox's chances of winning the race early on at this early stage.
Yeah, I'm thinking that Woodsy's just trying to get as close as he can to Speedy, just so they can lock in and move themselves to the front. But even if you're out in front and you've got the bump draft on, you're definitely going to pull away from the pack, as we saw what happened in the touring cars as well. So I know I'm probably going to say it a bit as we go back to the touring cars, but yeah, I guess you can't really,
Like, you look what's happening at the moment. There's sort of 2 groups forming already. We're not even on the 3rd lap, ladies and gentlemen. We've got 2 groups. Well, Lurox is leading the way, but these guys will be more or less closing on him maybe within the next 5 to 10 laps. But there's 2 groups forming. We've got basically you call it like the peloton in bike racing, where there's a big group of guys just working together to move themselves up towards the front. As you see, the 2 drivers in Caban's and Speedy Tyres make a bit of contact there, and Blocky Rex is having a great chance to come through and take the position 3. Yes, he has. So he's made the move on Speedy Tyres, used a bit of overtake to make the move stick, and yeah, but like I said, it's basically you've got 2 groups. You've got the peloton up the front, and then you've got the guys holding up the rear. So the guys, I'm not so sure who's leading that rear pack at the end there. That might be either Venti or Benjo 19. Yeah, it looks like we've got Benjo 19, and then we've got Venti, and then looks like Marchie, SS Boy, so the ISAR group, and then the M&R driver in SS Boy holding up the rear of the field. So yeah, you can definitely see the gaps are growing massively, and obviously these guys are, I guess, not really working together to move any closer, because that gap ahead between Robosport and Benjo 19 is extending pretty much as the corners go by and as the straight goes by.
Yeah, exactly, and you can see the front group. So we'll flick back to the front group here. They're all in a pack, and look at that gap to Lurox. It's now closed it on Lurox. They've closed that within 2 laps. So you can see they've just jumped in a line. They're pulling each other through, and that's what this back pack is not doing. You can see they're starting to kind of spread out. They're fighting for position, and that gap to that front pack is just gapping itself. So you can see SS Boy take a move on the outside there. But yeah, man.
Takes that inside line, and that was the line that you took for the last corner. And in these cars, I did have a run in these cars on Tuesday night, and my goodness, you take that inside line a bit too much, your car will just spit you towards the wall on the right hand side. So it's not one to take in a Formula car. Touring car is not too bad, like as we saw from you, but in a Formula it's a little bit too hairy. But it's these guys still battling it out, so I'm not so sure these guys don't really have an idea of working together to try and catch these guys, because between Woodsy and SS boys, 4.6 seconds, so that's huge. And if there's a safety car free race day, it's going to be hard for them to catch up to Woods in 7th place.
Yeah, exactly, and I think I would honestly want to be Woodsy in this point, because these guys are in front. Woodsy just sits in the slipstream, chuck it in 6 gear, mate, you'll be chugged along. Save fuel, save your tyres, and just, lift and coast. So, Gaban's is now taking the lead in front of Lyrox. So now I think if Lyrox is smart, he'll jump straight in behind, is exactly what he's done. So, I guess you can kind of see the calibre between, say, the front pack to the back pack, as you'd say. So the front pack's kind of stuck in with each other, pushing each other along, and then you've got this backpack here. They're all, look at that. They're fighting for position.
They're fighting like they're going to take the victory. So it's not how you want to be. Well, I guess in a way, I guess if they're having their own little fun race, it's fair enough. Maybe they might not be the fastest to take the victory, but I guess in a way you want to try and make it as close as you can and just try and maybe put a move on like just with one. So that gap is extending so much, 6 seconds already between Woods and Venti Super Soft. So you could probably say, I mean, you would say at this stage, would you say at this stage the race is over for those guys, or would you have to bank on a safety car to close the gap?
I can't call it this early, because obviously with 15 laps to go, me and Woodsy had a 6-second gap to you guys at the front pack. So we pulled that back in like 13 laps. So anything's possible with this. It's a long race, but what these guys need to do, they need to get in that slipstream and just bump draft each other along. So what's going on here?
Oh, that was a bit of a hairy moment there. As we see, as we can see a replay, I believe it was Benjo, SS Boy, and Marchie Boy getting all a little bit sideways at the exit of turn 1. As we see coming down towards the exit. As SS Boy just shoves Benjo into the wall there. And thankfully, there's no damage tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So they'll be able to cruise around and just get back on the road and just refresh their brains and just try again, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can just see the gap now. So we go back to Venti. It's gone to 7.8 seconds. So these guys are fighting. As much as Venti's by himself, he's not going to close that gap. So
he's definitely not going to close whatsoever. So he's pulled a gap on Devlin, but I guess in a way, if Devlin has too much fighting on his hands against SS Boy and Benjo and Marchie, then Venti's got nothing. He hasn't got people behind him. He's got no one in front of him. So he's going to have a lonely 8th place race.
Yeah, I can tell you, if that was me, I'd definitely want to try and get these boys to look up ahead and just be like, guys, stop fighting, bump draft each other, because you know as a bloody, you can get a pack of easy 7-8 cars bump drafting each other.
Yeah, that's right. Well, like I said, I'm not so sure how these cars fare when it comes to bump drafting. It might be a little bit easier than what you would say compared to iRacing or Assetto Corsa Competizione, where the bump drafting is a little bit deadly, but in GT Sports it's a little bit more friendly. So, but I'm not so sure how it is on an SF19, because I guess in a way you could say I haven't really been able to do, I haven't need to do much of that. So, like in our normal races that we've had in the past. So, but I guess in a way this is oval racing and anything happens. As we see it, actually now 2 groups are forming. We see the likes of the Robbo boys in 1st and 2nd place with Blocky Rex in 3rd place, just pulling a slight gap over this 2nd pack with Speedy Tyres, Diswood and Mountain Goat having a nice performance there. So they've just opened up that gap and it looks like it's closed up pretty quickly. So that's the risk that can happen when it comes to having a big gap. You can have a big group, which can then form into little groups at the same time. Yeah,
but I think as well, if you're looking at the fuel usage here, so you've got Speedy and Woodsy with exactly the same amount of fuel and exactly the same car usage. Go up a little bit further, Mountain Goat's using more fuel, Blocky, Gabans, Robbo, and Lurox, they're all in the same fuel. So I reckon Speedy and Woodsy will be able to get at least another probably say 3 to 4 laps out of their tank because they're not fighting each other, they're just pushing each other along. So we all know that Woodsy is very, very smart in his race car. So yeah, so we've got Robbo pushing Lurox along. So these guys don't have to worry about front wing damage, rear wing damage, nothing like that. So they can just push each other along. But yeah, I guess we wanted to make it as fair as they could, but they do have to battle the 3 times tyre wheel.
Yeah, and in a way, on a twisty circuit, it does come into effect. But obviously, in oval racing, the left-hand side of the tyre is going to be copying a massive load on when you're going. All you're doing is just turning left. So that loaded tyre is going to be putting a lot of pressure on drivers tonight, just to find that balance when it comes to tuning. So tuning was open for all drivers, and hopefully drivers have the best of the best tunes on their car, and hopefully potential win of the race. But obviously, one driver that's not looking at a race victory is the guy that is in 8th place, Venti Supersoft, and the rest down below, because they've been battling a bit too much. But that gap is even at 12 seconds, DJ. So it just cost them big time for that battle they were having.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that these drivers haven't kind of screwed their heads on as such and realised to bump draft each other. Like, as you said, I don't know how effective it is in the formulas, but I know that it's kind of effective with any car. But that gap's gone to 13 seconds. So in one lap, that front pack's pulled 2 seconds on Venti. That's incredible.
Wow. Absolutely insane there. So lots of strategy to do for these guys. Jumbling of the words, as we see Lurox leading the way ahead of RoboSport, his teammates. So leading a RoboSport Racing Camp 1-2 with Blocky Rex making his debut in the formulas with Project One Racing Team. He's I believe he had a previous experience in the Blue Moon Bay 500 in the touring cars. I can't remember exactly on the top of my head, but if he had, then he's doing himself a great performance so far in 3rd place, with Mountain Goat 13 also on debut in the formulas in the Shade On Racing Camp in 4th place, with Gabans in 5th place with It's Racing Esports, and a brand new looking It's Racing Esports entry car 55, basically the same more or less of his touring car enduro car. So nice little war paint colours for Gabans, and he's holding 7th place. But we see the moves made by Speedy Tyres and Gabans, so they're obviously working together to try and catch up to the guys up front, because like I said, you can see the gaps already. They've just split up into 2 groups there. So Lurox and Robbo playing a really good game of pushing each other along, and that's definitely opened up the gap between himself and this good 4th place.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen that there, but in a matter of 2 corners, Woodsy went from 7th to 4th just by simply following Speedy through. So Speedy opened that air gap and just gave Woodsy, as you say, the shake and bake, the slipstream, the slingshot. So it's not hard. So now Woodsy's out in front, and then you just want Mountain Goat, Speedy, Gabans to jump in and catch. So that gap's 14.6 seconds. So at this point, Marchi and Benjo are starting to close up on Venti. So if they're smart, they'll want to get in that bump draft. There we go. Marchi's on the outside.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's interesting, because all 3 of these guys are from the same camp. They are from the ISAR Racing Group, and yeah, I'm actually quite surprised myself that, like I said, sure, they want to have a race, but in a way, if you want to move up towards the front, move up towards the front. But I guess in a way they're just having a little bit of fun, as it is a non-championship round, a bit of fun and a bit of banter with the boys, I guess.
Yeah, well, yeah, you could say that, but I guess I know as well as you do. You'd probably still want to take the win of this one. So I guess it's just...
Absolutely. Well, yeah, it is a very competitive nature in us to try and work together, and I guess I wouldn't say not many people would have too much experience racing in an oval, or maybe they just come in here thinking, well, it's just going to be an easy race, just overtake cars left, right, front and centre, and then by the end of the 156 you get the victory. But unfortunately, on this game, that when it comes to oval racing, and as we see in the real life world, that waiting and drafting is the key to success.
Yeah, exactly right. And then you can just see here, they're just taking that 3 wide, so they're not working together. So like I'd like to see these guys up the front, but with the strategy that they're doing, they're not going to be able to get up there because that gap's now 17.4 seconds. So give it, I'd say maybe another 20 laps, and they might be starting to get lapped. So unless they start, someone has a spin and the safety car comes out, I'm not liking their chances of being up the front. So yeah, look at these guys fighting. Come on, guys, just bump draft each other.
Exactly right. Just gonna jump out of here quickly because my screen is just freezing up a little bit, so I'll be back in a minute.
Yep. So we're 23 laps in to the 156 lap race. So far we've got Robbo in the rock, so we've got a Robbo Sport Racing 1-2, Woodsy, Blocky, Mountain Goat and Speedy, and further back. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh, and then we've got Benjo, Venti, and Marchi. Next little pack, and then we've got Devlin back in 11th, and then SS Boy further back there. And we've got the little old lonely safety car of It's Racing sitting in the pit. So you might not realise this, but looks like Robbo and It's Racing have swapped seats for this race. So.
It looks like it, that's for sure. So Robbo's giving them the keys to It's Racing. It's just like, you're not racing tonight. You can drive my Nissan GTR safety car, sponsored by Elite Brake and Mechanical, and I'll take the position of racing with the big boys. So Robbo Sport's taking the big boys up for a run for their money, and so far he's leading the race, which is pretty good for him. But he was a Blue Moon Bay 250 winner back when we were having the touring cars. So him and Little Blacko in the Robbo Sport camp were actually, you know, pretty much doing what Lyrox and Robbo Sport are doing at the moment, just working with each other, just bump drafting each other away. And I guess in a way, Little Blacko probably would have more or less taken the victory for the team, but I guess in a way maybe wants to repay his boss and decided to give Robbo Sport his first victory in the Touring Car Championship season 2021.
Yeah, it was pretty solid work there. So Cabinta's jumped up here to third, so Cabinta's running back in 7th.
Yeah,
and you can see, yeah, Blocky's dropped back down to 7th, so yeah, no position is in stone until, as you said, the 156th lap.
Exactly right. So I guess in a way these guys are, well, I guess you're looking at drivers thinking about where they can make moves and where some drivers are stronger than others, because like I said, it all usually comes to set up when it comes to battling for pole position and then fuel saving, which is a big factor in this race, as it is only 50%. As it is only a 50% tank available for all drivers, but they're more or less getting almost gone through 25% of the tank, and we're only on lap. Is that lap 23? I see.
Lap 29. So.
29. Sorry.
Yeah, the drivers down
so
the
lap
front.
20,
Yeah.
So lap 29, and so it should be lap 27. Like obviously because we're two.
Oh yes. Lap 27. Yeah. So we're on lap 27.
Yep.
But
so they're losing about, you know, they could be losing about a litre, almost about 2 litres, almost like 1.5 to 2 litres of fuel. So it's quite interesting to see how the drivers go around this track when it comes to fuel saving. And as you can see, even the Robbo boys just working together. Lyrox has made the move, and Robbo Sports just right behind his teammate, just pushing him along with Gavans having no slipstream whatsoever. So it's good teamwork by the Robbo Sport boys, but it's still a long way to go as we are on lap 30, which is on the game, but it's lap 28 of 156 of the Blue Moon Bay 500.
Yeah, the fuel usage between Woodsy has used less fuel, so Woodsy's only just cracking that 26-ish% there. I believe it's Speedy. What I'm saying, yeah. So Speedy and Woodsy are on pretty much exactly the same amount of fuel, but everyone else who's fighting and stuff like that's actually used more fuel. So I reckon give Woodsy or Speedy about 3 or 4 more laps, and they might kind of pull away in that gap now. That gap's 22.9 seconds. These guys are still fighting it out. Look at that.
Still fighting it out like they're going to take the podium. So obviously not the strategy I would deploy, but like I did say, they are just probably having a bit of fun. You know, like it is a non-championship, but you know, we all want to be that driver where we want to take victories and, you know, get on podiums and show a great achievement towards your own team. So the ISAR group only formed up during mid 2021, where the leader Benjo19 was formerly a part of Gridline Racing, and at the midpoint of the season 2021, they decided to leave the Gridline Racing group and form his own group in ISAR Racing. And he's brought along, basically it's a community where he's brought along upcoming drivers and people starting their racing league careers on Gran Turismo Sport, and basically getting the help as much as they can. And they've got drivers such as Renegade, Brock and Lily, and even Marchie Boy 19, Venti Supersoft, and a few other drivers have come into that group as well. So they are starting out, and they are working together to try and move themselves up the picking order when it comes to racing. But I guess, you know, in a way, DJ, you've got to start somewhere in racing, and looks like ISAR have done that, and they've got, as we know on their Discord, they do have a big community.
Yeah, obviously yourself and myself are in their Discord, so we do see that happens, and they are in the GT Champions as well. So they are. It's good to see what Benjo's done for those up and coming drivers. Obviously, we do, as you said, we do start somewhere. And before this season, I hadn't done a league race in my life, so I jumped in for Justin at the 1000 because his co-driver, I believe it was Highlander. He had something come up and he couldn't race, so I did a bit of a heroic, yeah mate, jump out, I'll help you out. So did that, got my head around it. I hadn't actually raced in Gran Turismo for probably say 5 or 6 months, so I was a bit rusty. Yeah, the admins of the Trackstars gave me the benefit of the doubt. I ended up looking late, and then I don't know, I guess I'm going a lot better than what I expected from my first season. So
yeah, absolutely. You've definitely come a long way, and as the points get reset after Bathurst 1000, you'll be surprised to see how far you are actually up in the championship, because the you won the big race in the 500, and that'll definitely propel you up more or less towards the front, as we see this battle pack just going tooth and nail. So you can Vance almost take the lead of the race on the outside of turn 2, but look what they've done, DJ. They've actually pulled away from Blocky Rex, and look at Blocky Rex. He's losing time thick and fast, and this is the crucial moment when it comes to racing. That one small mistake, one small tap of the wall, and you could be losing 2 seconds against these drivers.
Yeah, it's simple as that. But looks like he's trying to use his overtake to get back on the slip there, but looks like Mountain Goat as well has dropped back a little tiny bit. So they've dropped back, and he's closing that gap pretty well and fast. So he might be on the back of this pack very, very short.
Oh, 3 wide, 3 wide. It just gets me a little bit when you go 3 wide through those corners. It's amazing. In a touring car, the aero wash is pretty bad when it comes to the side draft, but I guess in corners it's not too bad. Whoa, that's a good moment there between Speedy, the CP drivers, and Robo Sport Racing, but still leading the way. Almost not even at the quarter mark, we still have Lurox 22 leading the way, and he's pulled himself a really nice gap. I see a little bit of weaving there from Caban, so he's probably not happy with what's going on with a few drivers, but I see Lurox is about to lap a driver, and I believe that is SS Boy 82. So SS Boy 82, I wonder, has he come into? It looks like he's actually come into the pits there, DJ. So he's got almost a full tank of fuel. So he's probably just filled the car up and just stay on the same tyres, I guess.
For some reason, it's kind of mucked up here because it's showing Marchie behind SS. It's kind of gone a bit wonky there, but yeah, Marchie's actually behind SS Boy. Oh, he's a lap down. So yeah.
So are all those guys a lap down, or is it just SS Boy?
Yeah, they're all a lap down. So
really,
they're on lap 36. Benjo's on lap 36. Venti's on lap 36. Marchie's on lap 36. Oh no, they were halfway around. Okay, so yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's all good.
I think
I was going to say about lap 36, lap 37, lapping all the drivers from all the way up to 8th place. That's pretty big a compliment by those drivers, so it's not too bad. in a way. But yeah, I do believe I did see SS Boy's fuel tank full, so he's more or less a lap down on those guys. But it can benefit SS Boy if he does use the slipstream of Lurox 22 and the others to try and potentially go for an undercut on these drivers, as we see Benjo, Marchi, and Venti all coming to the pit lane, changing tyres, and more or less going to put about a full tank of fuel. And I would say they would definitely run to the end, but obviously trying to make those tyres last more than 100 laps in a Formula car, I'm not too sure if this. I wonder if this is a bit too early when it comes to changing tyres.
Obviously, I don't know what the tyres are like in this aspect, but I think you may be able to run 2 stints on one set, because I know that we did that in the touring cars. And yeah, luckily we had that late safety car, so I jumped in, cleared the damage, chucked the fresh shed on. So, but I know that people didn't want to lose their track position, so they didn't. So me and Woodsy actually did the same thing. So we were both on a fresh set, while you guys are on, say, like 20 or 30 lap old tyres. So I think that's what also helped us. But yeah, I'd say that you'd be able to get probably 2 stints depending on the tyre. Look at this. Look at where Blocky is.
Look at that. Blocky is. So yeah, so he's come through massively to try and close the gap on these guys, and he's almost right on the brim of this fuel tank. So he's definitely used a lot of his overtake and as much of his talent as he could to try and get from 7th, and now he's up into 2nd place and almost right behind Lurox 22. So I would say in a way these guys are going to get themselves ready for a pit stop. Who looks good with the fuel gauge, DJ? Who looks good on fuel, do you think?
At the moment, I'd say Speedy and Woodsy. Yeah, so they're on pretty much the same fuel. They're on exactly the same amount of fuel, so they're fuel saving pretty a lot. So I reckon that Woodsy and Speedy will get to around lap 50 or so, possibly. Don't
lap 50.
Maybe late 40s, I'd say, but I'm looking to probably see Lurox probably the top 3 or 4 within the next lap or so. But I wonder if they might short stop and not change tyres and just fuel to try and get a bit of a sneaky undercut.
Well, that's what I saw with SS Boy. Like that's what I saw with him. He looks like he only just put fuel on his car and didn't even do a tyre change. So that's why he hasn't been lapped yet by the drivers. So he's definitely come in for fuel, but not tyres just as of yet. So he's obviously doing the strategy that you've been thinking of doing, DJ. So it's good to see different variety of strategies going on, but I'm not so sure. I mean, that you look at the right hand side of the cars, they are wearing pretty fast on ×3 tyre wear.
I actually think that SS Boy is a lap down, so he's a minute 15 behind, but he's on lap 40, and the leaders are on lap 42.
Yeah, because of that long stop. Obviously, with the pit lane, the transit time is about, I think, for a full tank of fuel, it's more or less about 40-something seconds when it comes to changing tyres and fuel. So you're definitely right. He'd be definitely a lap down. So
I honestly think he may be 2 laps down, because they're running at about 37 seconds a lap. He's about a minute 16 behind. You put in that into account, and he's gone 2 laps down, because they're running at, say, 37 seconds a lap. So if that's right, he looks like he's 2 laps down, to be honest, taking that full tank on and tyres.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting for sure. So now, are we going to see Lurox 22 and Speedy tyres coming to the pit lane? No, he doesn't. So they're going to stick it out for another lap. So they're all working together. They're hassling SS Boy to get out of the way. They're all just coming up, all sideways, all across the track, and as we see, near contact between SS Boy and Lurox 22. And Lurox has definitely lost a lot of ground there, and that getting held up there by SS Boy, that was very unlucky. And that's definitely dropped it down from 1st to 3rd place. And Blocky Rex is now taking the lead. Oh no, actually, Speedy Tyres is taking the lead of the race, of the Blue Moon Bay 500. And this would have to be, I would say, the next lap or two. These guys will definitely have to come into the pits, and no one looks like they're blinking just as of yet.
Yes.
Actually, no, we do. Actually, no, sorry, we do see Lurox 22. He's the first to blink, and he's coming in for tyres. Look at that. He's on no fuel whatsoever, so he's just barely scraped through, coming onto pit straight and coming in for tyres. It looks like he's going to come in for tyres and fuel. So yes, Gutmen's are working together to get the tyres on, and let's see how much fuel he puts into that car.
As we do that, look at where the lead pack is. So let's wait and see what this time is like. So he's still in the pits. So will they get him now?
And he's just come out now.
He's just in front of that back there.
Oh, he really got collected by Benjo there and Venti. So very close call for Lurox 22. And as we see a few others come into the pits as well, we see drivers, I believe it was, as we see that replay, sorry, apologise. Oh, he nearly got collected, nearly got put into the wall there by Benjo. It's a very close call there. As we see drivers such as Devlin Calypso, and we see Robbo Sport, Blocky Rex, and even, who's the guy? That is Gabans. Gabans in the 55 all come into the pit lane. So we'll have to wait and see what fuel they've put in. They've all gone for a full tank there, so...
Oh, Gabans is coming. Gabans is a short field. Blocky's done here. Blocky's done the fuel and no tyres, so he must be confident that he can make those tyres last over 100 laps. That's a lot.
He's gonna be he's definitely gonna be banking on a safety car, that's for sure. And I think how the race is going so far, we haven't seen many people push each other off too much, but they've gone straight into the wall because, like I said, damage is off for all the drivers, but I guess a spin in a way, if you do have a spin, then the safety car will be called, just like it is a caution, like it is a yellow caution, like as they do in the NASCAR and Indy cars as well. So any spins, the safety car gets calls out regardless. So Blocky is going to be relying on a safety car because, like you said, I'm not so sure if he's going to make those tyres last for another 100 and so laps.
Yeah, so that's very risky, especially do a full tank. I'd expect him to say do half a tank and then do fuel and tyres next pit stop. Definitely a full tank, and especially with the heavier fuel load as well. That's definitely going to be one to watch out for. Is this Lurox system? Oh. Robbo, so Robbo's coming up on the back. They're coming up on the back of Robbo, so
yeah, so very interesting it is interesting because the game will show that you are a lap down, but you don't have to give way to the drivers, I guess, because obviously you come into the pit lane, but you're trying and catch up to them as quickly as you can. So he doesn't have to give way to the drivers behind him, as he is actually racing for those positions. As we see a driver come in the pit lane, that is Mountain Goat. So you called a DJ. The CP Motorsport boys are working really well in the fuel numbers, and they're still both out in the lead the race 1 and 2.
Yeah, as I was saying, lap 50. So they're on lap 50 now. They've made half a tank last over 50 laps. So will they do this on a 2-stop? I'm thinking they may do this on a 2-stop.
Okay.
So they're on lap 50 now, and they got, say, 50 laps out of half a tank. They
So
run this out.
They'll have to get about 52 laps per stint just to get to the end, I'd say.
Yeah, so they've gone 51, and I'd say they've got about, say, 3 to 4 laps left in that tank. And then they'll full fuel, run that out to, say, half-ish, roughly, and then chuck a new set of tyres on. So I reckon that's what they're trying to go for, the 2-stopper there.
Who knows? Well, I wonder if in a way we have Woodsy in the chat, because he might be listening to us in the background, just seeing what everyone else is doing. But who knows? But yeah, like you're right there, and look at what Robbo's doing. He's sticking right behind Woodsy in the 66 CP Motorsports Formula, Super Formula Honda, and he's definitely going to be working really hard. So we see Mountsigo come out the pit lane, and he actually comes out right behind Robbo Sport. So this has helped Robbo Sport massively. Oh, as we see Diswood almost make contact with the wall there, and just gets a little bit tail happy there. His first race on the wheel, and he's making a few brushes on the wall, but in a way he's doing himself a good job with his wheel debut.
Yeah, he's definitely doing an awesome job going on there. And then they're coming onto the back of these back. back marker tank, mate. My head was just blank. I couldn't do anything. I'm just, for some reason, I had backpackers in my head.
Mate, I wish I was backpacking right now. I'm so bored in lockdown. I wish I was backpacking.
Tell me about it, my friend. I haven't played soccer in many months, and my season got cancelled. So
yeah,
it's I've been in lockdown, and I can't help but stop eating Hungry Jacks and shit food. So
that's right. That's the power of lockdown. And yeah, but as we see, it is lap 53. Lap 53 of 158, and yeah, they haven't even made a pit stop yet. So could this be the time that this time round they actually come into the pit stops? I think they might even just adapt to one stop, because they might be able to, again, they might be able to do half a tank, and they might be able to run a quick stint on a half tank fuel, and they can get to about 106 laps or something, and then they can just go for a short fuel and then fresh tyres to the end. But we'll have to wait and see. They've just lapped Blocky Rex, and does anyone make a move for the CP Motorsport? No, they don't. So CP Motorsport's with the strategy. They're doing really well to pull that gap, and I'm not so sure what the gap is between them and Lurox, as they were battling against Lurox and Gabans and RoboSport, but as we see RoboSport actually there with the guys in that slipstream. So he's doing himself really.
Yeah, so it's about 31 seconds to Gabans, and then a further 0.0. So yeah, Gabans and Lurox are fighting it off, and then a 7. Here's a 39-second gap, so you're looking at about 1 lap. So he's just on 1 lap behind.
Wow, and I guess in a way you have to get Lurox and Gabans to work together, just push each other along to try and close the gap, because those guys are getting pushes from Blocky and RoboSports, and that makes that gap closes, or that gap extends pretty much when it comes to a 4-car train compared to a 2-car. So a bit of work for Lurox and Gabans to do. They might have to use a bit of overtake to try and close that gap. But as we see, we're coming up to about lap 56 of 158. Will any of these drivers make it into the pit lane this time around? Does anyone make a move in the pit stops, in the pit garages? No, they don't. So they still keep going out. So excellent performance by the CP Motorsport boys when it comes to fuel saving.
Yeah, and I've done enough races with Speedy and Woodsy to know that they are two of the best fuel savers in the league. So fuel and tyres, actually the tyres. Let's see what blockers aren't too bad. They're not too bad. I think with the less of a tank, they might use more tyre because you're trying to kind of turn into the corner more. I'm not overly sure because I obviously haven't practiced with these things, but he's looking not too bad at the moment.
No, that's right. He's doing really well, and if Blocky, well, as we know, that Blocky hasn't come in for tyres yet, so he's definitely put a full tank of fuel and no tyres whatsoever. So this could work for him come the end of the race, where he just running the old set out, making sure they get right down to the rim, no grip whatsoever, and then just come towards the end, no fuel and just tyres to the finish line.
Yeah, obviously we can't see what the fuel number's like, so I don't know how many laps we ever get out of a tank, but I'm thinking that Speedy and Woodsy are going to come in this one. So it looks like Speedy's actually out of fuel. So will he be pushed into the pit lane? Yeah. So he's been pushed into the pit lane.
Wow, so these guys just made it in. Woodsy on 1%, Speedy on 0%, so running into the brim. But now we're going to keep an eye on Lurox 22, so he's right at the back of turn 1 on the back straight, coming in towards turn 2. Him and Gabans. In theory, basically this is the net lead between Gabans and Lurox 22, first and second place so far in this race. But as we go look up towards Gabans, coming up towards the final corner, will they inherit the lead, or will we see Woodsy and Speedy out in front come the end of this stint? We're going to wait for them to leave the pit lane. Speedy's on 50% fuel. What is Woodsy going? I think Woodsy is just coming out on 90%, I believe that was.
Yeah, so I think Woodsy might be trying to go for the one stop here. That fuel number there to how many laps is done, he might be able to go. He might be trying to go for the one stop here. So at the moment with that short fuel, Speedy's done the overcut on Gabans and Lurox.
So what is the gap now? That's about 1.6, is that right?
Yeah, 1.5,
1.5.
and that's closing very, very fast.
Oh, those two are working together very nicely. But you get, I don't know, it's so hard. It's always interesting when it comes to oval racing, when it comes to, you know, before the pit windows, that you're all in such a big group, but there's different strategies come into play. You can see RoboSport and Blocky working together to try and close the gap, and they were working really hard to try and close up to Lurox and Gabans, but they're really far back down now. The gap between Robbo and Woods is that 5.7 seconds, I believe?
3.7, so I think...
Oh, 3.7, sorry.
I think what Woodsy will be hoping here is for Blocky and Robbo to get a little bit of a move on and just be like, hey buddy, come give me a push.
Yeah, exactly. They definitely need to work together because they know that they've lost a bit of ground towards these guys. And as you can see, Cabans and Lurox working together, and they've closed that gap from 1.5 to about nothing. So now we see Lurox taking the lead of Blue Moon Bay 500 for the Formula Track Stars here. We're using our Dallara SF19's main series specs, both at 639 brake horsepower, 600 kilograms for these cars. So, 690 kilograms for these cars, where they are all having where they all have the Cosworth engines, both cars tuned with the Toyota engine and the Honda engine as well. But all cars have been made and designed by Dallara, who also designed cars such as the Indy cars and the Formula 2, Formula 3, and then you even see in the Formula 1s, Haas have taken up an agreement with Dallara, and they actually design and help build their cars as well. So it's pretty good. So it's pretty big involvement for Dallara and in the Formula world, and they've produced goods with the SF19s that made its debut in 2019. So these are the car the drivers are using, and so far it looks really nice on track, and all the paint jobs I'm seeing here is pretty good. But I've seen a few awesome paint jobs as well, especially down with Blocky and Benjo 19's liveries, as they are both incorporating tribute liveries to the Michael Schumacher days, where we see Blocky having a bit of a tribute to the early V10, V8s of Formula 1, where Michael Schumacher had that dominant period from 2000 to 2004 in that bright red Scuderia Ferrari, and then we see Benjo inheriting the Benetton-like livery from his early days back in where he made his debut in 1991, but he's inherited his Benettons from 1992 onwards, and it's been over 20 years since he's made his debut in Formula 1, so it's a nice little tribute for those guys. And we also see Venti running a replica McLaren in 2021 called Papaya Orange, where that Papaya Orange was made famous by Bruce McLaren back in the 60s when he was running solo for the I think it was his own team as well, McLaren. So I guess in a way he inherited the Papaya Orange, and we see those colours very nice. RoboSport Camp are running new colours as well. The Speedy tyres and Dishwood liveries are more or less of what they're running since the last couple of rounds, so they're brand new liveries as well. So nice liveries from all the drivers, and I guess we can't have them in Formula 1 cars, but we can have them on the SF19s, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, the Formula 1 cars are very restricted in that aspect. Obviously, you can just change the colour of the car. You can't actually put designs on, which is unfortunate, which we'd probably like to see, but yeah, I guess you can still do very, very nice liveries on the SF19. So as we see all of the cars so far, I do actually like the CP car, how it kind of conforms the colours, so it goes from red to black to grey. So yeah, Chase has done a really nice job on that.
Yeah, well, I guess in a way Chase does really nice liveries. I see him all around. I see him on Gran Turismo. I see him on his Facebook page, on CP Motorsports Facebook page, and just all the liveries that he's been doing for his races and his team in all the racing leagues in Australia that his drivers are competing in, and they all just look so mint. They all look so fresh, and they look tidy. I think that's the main word. It just looks tidy. No overlaps of any decals. Just looks really clean.
Yeah, they're really nice, and obviously as well I know Woodsy probably hasn't heard me say this, but the Enduro Honda that he's running is definitely my number one livery. Yeah. So I really like that livery. But Viper's done a really nice job in the number 24 as well, so we obviously had to incorporate the satellite racing as well. So we've crossed over the satellite racing PLE car, so he's done a really nice job on that one. I'm pretty honoured to drive that one.
Yeah, exactly. If you have anything to do with satellite racing, and I watched the coverage of they were doing an iRacing Bathurst 1000. They were sponsored by Virtual Sim School or something. I think that's what they're running.
Racing School, yeah,
Oh, Virtual Racing, Virtual Racing School, and that's that. And Viper said, or Liam Tame is signed to that program, and he's leading the charge with satellite racing as the main sponsor of the Virtual Racing School. So who knows? Something for satellite racing and VRS to make a feature in season 2022, DJ.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get in there because I think I don't know if anyone else watched it, but the Speed Week E-Series that was on SBS with the Porsche Cup, we actually had Viper Z who is in the series, and I think off the top of my head we had Jono standing there as well. So
yeah, he was there.
Yeah, so that was actually televised on Foxtel on SBS, so they had a couple of rounds. But yeah, those guys were definitely. I didn't get to catch it myself, but Liam put out a little feeler. He goes, "Guys, look out for this day." And I said, "Is it?" And he just goes, "Just look out for it and have a watch." So he didn't really reveal much, so it was good to see.
Yep.
But, and the current E-Series, Supercars E-Series leader at the moment, I can't remember his name. It'll come to me shortly, but he's actually using a VRS Fanatec base for his wheels, so you can see when they go to his cabin, he's got a virtual racing school there, so I can't remember his name, it'll come to me eventually. So,
that's all good.
Yeah, it'd be good to get a big sponsor like that for our series.
Absolutely. I do want to cut you off there. I did see Gabans was with This Wood, but something's happened to This Wood, and he's dropped a little bit further back behind Gabans there, so he must have missed something there. From This Wood, he must have had a bit of an accident, or must have just clipped the wall there, and now he's dropped really far down the order there. So definitely, he was running as with Gabans only a few laps ago, but something happened that we missed out on, and he's nowhere near Gabans, and those top three are going to run away, and This Wood is going to have to pray for them to make an early pit stop sooner than later, or even a safety car.
Yeah, I'd say he'd be predicting that, or if he's just kind of buying his time and saying it's only a 9-second gap. If him and Robbo can lock into each other, I'd expect these two guys up the front in say about 30 laps.
Okay.
So you can see the time coming down for Robbo. So I think Woodsy's just kind of hoping, mate, come on Robbo, we got this, and he'll be definitely wanting Robbo to charge into the front. So as soon as that
10-second gap between them and Gabans in third place, so it's going to be a big mammoth task for This Wood and Robert. But like you said, they might be playing themselves a bit of a strategy here. We did see Woodsy go almost about 90 litres and a fresh set of tyres, so you think he might be going for the one stop, and a gap like that is, I would say, it's not too bad when it comes to if they come to the second stop, because we did see Speedy short fill that car, but I'm also sure about Lurox. Did he short fill that car? It looks like
yes, he did as well. He did a half a tank too, but obviously the comparison in the field was the difference in the pit stops. So
yeah,
I reckon Lurox Speedy has probably say another 10 to 15 laps extra of fuel on Lurox there. But flicking back to it, Robbo's now right with Woodsy. So Robbo's very smart, so he'll just start to chug each other along, and we are nearly halfway into the race, so there's still a long way to go.
Time flies, and it's only 22 past 8 here in Australia, so we've got ourselves probably another 40 to 45 minutes of racing action here to go, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, as we are about to approach the halfway, let's run you through the order. We still have a big mammoth pack of the top three, where we have Lurox 22 in the RoboSport camp in the car 22 leading the way. Behind him is in the 41 of Speedy Tyres in the CP Motorsports. The two teams in RoboSport and Speedy Tyres leading the way, with Gabans in the It's Racing Esports camp in the 55 in third place, is holding his own, probably saving a bit of fuel. And as we see in 4th place, Diswood 1 in 4th with RoboSport right behind him. They're going to be working very hard together to try and catch up to those guys and hopefully make at least a one-stop work. In 6th place, we have Blocky Rex in the Project 1 racing camp, and he's a fair way back behind RoboSport, but he's got Mountain Goat right behind him as well. So those two are definitely going to will work together to try and catch up towards Diswood and RoboSport as well. And then down in 8th place we have Benjo 19, we have Marchie Boy and Benji Supersoft in 9th, 10th and 11th place. They're still battling side by side, forgetting that there is a long-term race happening, but it's all about, I guess they're having a bit of fun and banter, with 11th place belonging to SS Boy 82 in the M&R Mobile Network Racing camp, with Devlin Calypso, the Belgian of the Trackstars Racing Series community, holding 12th place, and down in 13th place is our lonely safety car driver in its racing esports Jarman Dalitz.
Yeah, I think he might be having a bit of a lonely race in that safety car, but hopefully he doesn't pee in the seat. Don't leave it wet for Robbo, mate. Otherwise he'll pay you the bill to get it fixed. I know it might be your safety car, but he'll definitely send a bill to you.
I wonder if he sent an actual. I wonder if he actually sent a bill to Benjo to fix the damaged safety car from the Blue Moon Bay 500 as well.
I think you might have put that into the racing fund.
There you go.
It was a bit hard, but he definitely did well in the wet as well. So we didn't have a safety car in the wet. Yes, we did. We had 2. Never mind, I can't remember. But I should remember because I was following the safety car.
in the Formulas and the touring cars, yes. We did have a couple of safety cars there, but it was Lurox that was taking the reins of the safety car at that time.
Yes, that's right.
But we thank Robbo for his time and patience with us for the main series with the Elite Brake and Mechanical main series drivers, and being the safety car driver. Where he does have a life, ladies and gentlemen, after that is not being a safety car driver. So yes, he does the good work for us, and he is part of series management, and he's a good bloke. He's a good guy to get along with, and he's a great team manager in the RoboSport racing camp, developing great drivers such as Lurox 22 and Barrel PS, who was an Indonesian driver last year who showed excellent pace. He was probably one of the fastest drivers in the Trackstars community in 2020, and it was a big shame that we couldn't see him in season 2021, but I guess life gets away from you and there's a lot of things going on. So as we see RoboSport in 4th place, and Lurox so far still leading the race. So good resurgence from RoboSport Racing, and maybe this could be a resurgence for the later half of the season in the Formulas, DJ.
Yeah, well, it'd be good to see them charge through the thing there. But as I was saying to you, look at that gap. That is now 9.3 seconds. So they've shaved 4 seconds off that in a matter of, say, 5 laps-ish, roughly. So don't count these 2 out. Do not count these 2 out at the moment. So look at that gap. It's now 8.9. So in a matter of 1 straight, they've shaved half a second, and it's gone down to 8.7 now. So it's just a matter of the bump draft. Look at how
effective it is.
Yeah,
Well, what about Blocky and Goat? I think they'd be working together to try and close up, but they're a little bit further back behind Woods and RoboSport at the moment, about 11 seconds behind. So, but I think Blocky is going to be playing that strategy where he's just going to come in into the pits and just come in for tyres. So he knows he's got a tank that can probably get him to the end, but tyres will be a key advantage for Blocky, and that's probably where Blocky is losing a bit of time, is with the tyre wear, you could say.
Yeah, and as much as he's got with the tyre wear, the fuel usage is exactly the same as Woodsy, so he's on the exact same amount of fuel, maybe 1 to 2 laps less than Woodsy.
Yeah, very interesting indeed.
And the Goat,
and looks like Goat isn't that far off as well, so I wonder if he's going to try and go at least no stop. I wonder if he's going to try and get to the end, but I wonder if his tyres might fall out towards the end of the race. You see, RoboSport hasn't come in for tyres at all. He's come in for fuel, and Woods has come in for fuel and tyres. So this will be an interesting strategy. So as much as the first part of the races become interesting, and then the middle stint becomes a little bit boring, it's the end of the 500 that'll become a nail biter.
Yeah. As much like I think in this car they're kind of just settling into their groove, trying to catch back up to each other. But I think Woods is in the better position here, so he's got the better tyres and he'll just push Robbo along. So Robbo, if he was behind, he would have more of a chance to say run wide or something like that. But if that's the case, Woodsy can use the overtake and use his grip to his advantage. So they've pulled that gap down to 7.5. So they're shaving off about 1 to 2 seconds every, say, 3 to 4 laps. So being 82 laps in, I'm still not these two guys out.
Nearly just clips the outside barrier there, Woodsy, so very close to shaving that car off. But yeah, I'm actually quite surprised Woodsy's actually staying behind Robbo, because like you said, Robbo's on the worn tyres, and if Robbo makes a mistake up ahead of him, that could make Woodsy make a mistake as well, and who knows, and then those two would come into contact. So I'm not so sure why I don't see Woods ahead of Robbo Sport. So interesting tactic by Woods, but I guess in a way he's probably saving fuel, saving tyres behind Robbo. Doesn't want to make a move just yet because he probably knows that Robbo has to come in and make a pit stop.
I think that as well, but I think that Woodsy feels that he can push Robbo along. So Robbo might drop out of the slipstream if he's behind him with his tyres. So that way Woodsy's kind of just saying like, look mate, I'll push you along, I've got better tyres and I'm slightly faster. So he might use that to effect. I'm not overly sure, but that would probably be me.
I'm pretty sure you two would know, because he did the same thing to you at the 500.
Yeah, I think that was the aspect, because we didn't want to fight on that restart. So he just locked in behind, and then as soon as he did that, I put my blinkers on and I was just like, all right mate, let's go. Put the blinkers on, turned them off, and we just went. But that gap's down to 5.4. So that's how effective this bump draft is. Look at that.
Absolutely. So he's hoping for Robbo Sport to not make any mistakes in this charge towards the top three, because as you said, that gap is closing pretty fast. From when we picked up these guys, it was about 7.8, and now it's nearly down to 5 seconds. So a lot of time gained on these guys, but still leading the way is still Lurox 22 ahead of Speedy Tyres, and we see actually no, Lurox is down in third place, so he's dropped a little bit off. So Speedy's leading the way in the CP Motorsports entry, with Cabans in second place, with Lurox in third. But yeah, like you said, Robbo and Woodsy are closing in very fast indeed.
Yeah, it's down to 5.3 now. So it looks like Caban. So Speedy's got the best fuel level at the moment. Cabans will probably have to pit within the next, say, 10 laps, 10-15 laps. I think Speedy might have to do a slash and dash towards the end, with roughly 70-ish laps to go. No man, there's so many different strategies you can pull in these over races.
It really is, and it just shows such an awesome driving. And we're on lap 90 of 158, ladies and gentlemen. So we've definitely clicked over the halfway marker. We're almost at about 66% of the race distance, and so far we still have the top three of Speedy Tyres, Cabans and Lurox, but we've got Robbo Sport and Diswood closing that gap massive. That's come down to about 5.1 seconds now, so 5.4 seconds, my apologies. So it's opened up a little bit. They were closing down to 5 seconds, so I wonder if Woodsy's thinking that Robbo's tyres are gone, so he might have to pull the pin and maybe just make a move on Robbo Sport and just hope for the best, and hope for drivers like the top three to come into the pit lane, and so they can change the tyres. I'm not too sure, because I don't know if Woodsy knows that Robbo has pretty worn tyres.
I'm kind of with you on that one, but that time is they lose a little bit of time going through the last corner, then they gain it back through the straight. So you can see the gap, the time goes up slightly, and then now it's coming down. So
it's mainly the straights. That's obviously where they gain it the most because of the bump drafting. Yeah,
exactly. So I think Woodsy takes a real wide line there and puts it in really tight. So I don't know. I mean, if that was me, I'd kind of want to be in Woodsy's vision, but you can probably see, I think Woodsy might be saving fuel too. So They're on.
Okay.
They're on
Yep.
about the same amount of fuel, so we may see Robbo and Woodsy pull the same stint. I'm just not too sure if Robbo's right in front's going to last that long.
Yeah, I think Robbo's definitely going to have to make a late pit stop if there is a safety car that comes out. That's for sure. We're on lap 92 of 158, and we still haven't seen the safety car out. So no drivers made any errors tonight. So that's pretty good for all drivers to not make any mistakes. But anything can happen. I think we did see last year's race. We did see a few mistakes from a couple of drivers, and I think there was one virtual safety car from last year's race. Maybe Jarman might have to confirm that in the chat, but I believe there was one safety car in the Formulas last year. But still got leading the way. Speedy Tyres ahead of Cabans, Lurox, Robbo, and Woodsy in the top 5. So in the meantime, as we see these battle packs come by, I would like to make a special thanks to our sponsors at EBM with Elite Braking Mechanical. As you can see down on the bottom right corner, where they are running themselves a charity race that is called Drive for Autism, sponsored by EBM and Tickford Racing. So they are driving for autism for Aspects Autism Spectrum Australia, where they are one of the largest, one of the biggest autism specific school programs in the world. Obviously, they're trying to make kids that are on the spectrum and kids with autism have a great life, and schooling them in a way that everyone is treated equally. And obviously, when it comes to fundraising, EBM have partnered up with Tickford Racing to make an event that is Drive for Autism, and they've got the best of the best racing teams in the Australian and New Zealand championships, all coming together for one round, for one race, or actually a one-day event split into 4 races, where they've got the likes of Trackstars teams and Trailblazer teams and even the Sector 1 community all come together to race for a good cause. It doesn't matter who wins on the race, the real winner is the Drives for Autism. So come check it out on the EBM TV on YouTube, and come check us out on the 14th of November 2021. So we'd like to big shout out to Elite Braking Mechanical for inviting Trackstars, and we will see you guys on November 14th. Looking back, we are on lap number 97 here. We have Speedy Tyres still leading the way ahead of Cabans in second and Lurox, and what that gap is closing down massively. It's about 3.4 seconds, DJ, and they are closing pretty fast.
Yeah, it's coming in. Yeah, so they're just coming on to lap 97 now. So that's gone down to 3.5 now. So that gap's gone up a little bit. So they ended up getting down to about 3.1. So I think that Robbo's tyres might be doing him favours.
He's just hit the wall there, so that's Robbo's tyres going away. And Woodsy has just pulled the pin and says, like, well, you've just made a mistake, I've got to go, buddy. So I think Robbo just has to stay behind Woodsy and help Woods, actually, and hopefully try and get him as much slipstream as he can, or as much bump drafting as he can, to catch up towards Lurox. But that definitely cost Robbo a big chance, and now he's either going to stay with Woodsy, or he's going to start making more errors, and he's going to lose Woodsy in 4th place.
Yeah, that right front tyre is definitely causing him issues there. He drops back 0.4, so definitely wouldn't want to do more of that. No, we can see him using a bit of overtake just to try and close to Woods and just try his best to stay with him, because he needs to, I guess in a way, he needs to help Woods close up to Lurox. But obviously, if he knows Lurox is ahead of him, as we see Cabans actually come into the pits now, so he's coming in for his last stop. He's actually going to come in for fuel as well, and Robbo Sport has actually pulled the pin, and he says, "Nah, get me off these tyres, boys. I need fresh ones." Yeah. Now I'm just curious if he's going to run to the end on these tyres. So that's a 60-lap stint on softs. Well, he's done about 98 laps on the current set, so he's definitely going to run it to the end. That's for sure. He's just going to put in a little bit of fuel, just to make sure he's safe to the end. And he's definitely coming out ahead of Cabans. Then he's right behind Goat and Blocky Rex. So it might not be a podium challenge for Robbo Sport, as we see Blocky and Mouse and Goat have a bit of a biff and barge there through turn 1 there. But Robbo Sport is just losing a bit of time there.
and just a little bit of fuel came towards him as we see Lurox. He's nowhere near. That was Woods. Oh, sorry, my apologies there. That was Woodsy battling up against Venti Supersoft. But yeah, it's,
I don't think he's battling him here. I'm thinking that he's wanting to keep Venti. Okay, yeah, Venti. He's thinking he's going to use Venti there for the slip. So unfortunately, there for Woodsy, yeah.
I think he's trying to use whatever he can just to try and close up towards the guys up front, whether it's a back marker or whether it's somebody that's up fighting for the lead on the lead lap. So unfortunately, therefore Woodsy's going to have to do it the hard way, and maybe the hard way would have to be just working with the back marker. As you see with Venti, he's just drifted a little bit wide there, and he's almost more or less out of the slipstream of Woodsy. So Woodsy's going to have to hold in. Hopefully bank on Lurox and Speedy Tyres coming in for one more stint, for one more lap. As we see Blocky Rex actually come into the pit lane, and he's going to be going off his set of tyres, almost 100 laps on his set of tyres, and he's going to change it for a fresh set of racing soft tyres. So he is definitely going to get to the end. Is he going to put a bit of fuel? He does put a little splash and dash. So it'll be interesting to see where he comes out, if he comes out just ahead or just behind Robbo Sport.
Coming onto the front. Just trying to take who's coming. It's a back marker. Yeah, SS Pro. So he's come out in front of SS Pro. Unfortunately, he's 3 laps down.
So yeah, it looks like Robbo Sport actually did come out ahead of Blocky. So this is a good performance by Robbo, just working Woods working together. And he's managed to hold on to 4th place, as we see Goat having a bit of a battle with Robosport, but I guess Goat might have to come into the pit lane very soon. I wonder, did he short fuel as well? No, he didn't actually, so he looks like he might be running towards the end and hopefully praying that his tyres will be able to hold on, and maybe those two now, Robbo and Goat, they might work together to try and catch up towards Woods and Lurox.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be... I hate it in this aspect because I don't know what they can do where, because are they going to pit, are they going to not, like is Woodsy going to run to the end, like I don't know, man, it's too hard to pick, but I know Lurox is going to have to come in the say next 5-ish laps for fuel. Woodsy,
he's lost a bit of time towards Speedy there, so something happened whilst we were off the camera. Lurox and Speedy, he's pulled a gap on Lurox there, and something happened to Lurox that we didn't see, so he's definitely going to be coming into the pits maybe this time round or the next lap, just to get off those tyres and just put a bit of fuel on his car and try and get to the end. As we see Woodsy there he is, he's in the background there, and he can see Lurox in his sight very clearly. He hasn't got Speedy in front of him, but he's got Lurox ahead of him for 2nd place, and hopefully in Woodsy's case will come out not only in 2nd place, but Speedy's going to have to come into the pits and he will take 1st place.
Seen that gap at 3.5, so I think the benefit of Woodsy, he should be able to run to the end on that tank, but it depends if he's going to come in, follow them into the pits, chuck some tyres on and do a short pit stop and come out in front. I'm not overly sure in that regard, because
it's a very, like you said, it is a very interesting strategy. How it's all going to work. We're going to look at around about 110, 115 as everyone makes their final stops, and as the leaders make their final stops. So that way we'll actually get an oversight of what's going on, who's on what strategy, who's going when.
Yeah, and obviously with Speedy being up front, he's kind of just burning it himself. Lurox as well, they're kind of gapping, but I can see Woodsy slowly closing that gap. But yeah, I can't pick it, man. It's too hard. Then, mate, this is more stressful in the. Oh, there it is. Woodsy's made the late dive.
Ooh.
Will he pull off this undercut?
He's definitely he will pull an undercut, because I don't think he's going to need fuel towards the end, because he was very good at his fuel saving. So I don't think he's going to put on a few extra litres of fuel, but he might be able to just run. He does actually, so he puts a little bit of a splash and dash in his car, and this is a very interesting strategy, because now what happens to Speedy Tyres? Because Speedy Tyres did a short fuel stop as well.
Yeah, That's a
Oh,
that's a
this is-
20. That's a mate. It's more stressful in the com box than what it is. Oh,
Look at that, but look at where Robbo is. He's right there. So Robbo Sport, we thought was going to be more in the top, at the bottom of the top 5. He's right there with Mountain Goat, so it's not out of the picture for Robbo Sport as well.
either
this is
either
insane.
he's goat or Gabans. Oh my
And
god,
look at
what
that,
is going on?
And Lurox is actually in the pits right now, but he's going to be putting on a full chunk of fuel in. And Woodsy, Robbo, and we
is
see
Woodsy gonna
Mountain
come
Goat and
out?
Gabam.
Where is what?
Woodsy's come out in second place. He's actually out in second place. Lurox has come out of the pits
Oh.
right now. Where does that drop into?
Sixth.
Oh, sixth place, and he's about 3. Is it about 3 seconds behind?
2.3 seconds behind. So, if this is the way, Speedy's got to put fuel on. Does he put tyres on? That is the question. This.
This has turned up a notch, ladies and
Oh.
gentlemen. This is incredible. This is an incredible sight to see. I actually did not think Woods was going to come into the pits there, but he's shocked everyone, and he's put it out a chain reaction. And we see Gabans, RoboSport, and Mountain Goat all fighting against each other to try and close up to Woods. And Lurox just come out of the pits in 6th place, but he's got about 3 seconds to try and close up towards Mountain Goat in 5th place there. But he knows he's got no slipstream, so that's going to cost him. He needs to rely on speedy tyres to come into the pits sooner or later.
Yeah, and just from the times there, he's done a 1 minute 7 with going into the pits and putting fuel. So that's about a 20. What's that? About nearly a 30-second. Yeah, that's the difference there. So they're doing roughly a 38 to 39 second lap, and he's done a 1 minute 7 with a pit stop. So this is definitely going to shake up towards the end. But I'm thinking Woodsy may be out in the lead of the race after this.
I think so too. I definitely think Woods is going to be taking the lead of the race, and we can see Gabans is about 1.7 behind Woods, with RoboSport right behind him, and Mountain Goat 13 in 5th place. And I guess in a way you have to look at drivers' overtake usage. We can see Woodsy has got a bit of has only got about a quarter tank, or just a bit over a quarter tank of overtake left. But I did see Lurox 22 with nearly a full tank of overtakes. This could be beneficial for Lurox come towards the end of the race.
Yeah, he's got about 3/4 of a tank, but Speedy tyres has used barely anything.
Okay,
So,
fascinating indeed.
man, this is too stressful. I don't know how people do this kind of stuff. I'd rather race.
How did we do it? How do we do it in the touring cars, mate? I was more stressed in that one.
Oh no, I was fine in that race. I was just trying to work things out. But mate, trying to commentate this, I don't know how Adam does it. Oh, hats off to Adam, man. I tell you that much.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, we do miss Adam, our British commentator here at Trackstars Racing Series. We hopefully, fingers crossed, might be able to get him towards the end of the season, and he might be able to call out some classic races for our final races here at Trackstars. We will finish off the season 2021 in the Elite Braking Mechanical Touring Cars at St. Croix C. Yes, we did have our throwback round at St. Croix C with all the die-cast Trackstars racing cars from back with the Opals, the Alfa Romeos, and the old Mercedes-Benz liveries that Jarman Dalitzitz Racing managed to paint up on his spare time, and gave us some really spanking, good-looking liveries. So, and we're back there this time for endurance racing for the 1500. So that's about 150 laps from what I recall there. So it's going to be a long day, but hopefully we can get Adam on board for that.
Yeah, it'd definitely be good if we could see Adam there. But as you see, It's Racing put in the chat, the Gabans, Robbo, Mountain Goat, back looks like linking up with Woodsy. So I think if they keep working together, they might end up linking back up, hopefully, say 30-ish laps to go. But I'm definitely keeping an eye on this gap between Speedy and Woodsy. When he's speeding in the pit.
Well, look at Speedy. His fuel gauge has gone down to the red, and he's almost towards the end there. So, what do you think, DJ? How many laps do you think that might be? Because I can't really see it on my screen, but I think he might be able to go. Do you think maybe about 2 more laps? You'd say?
With the amount of fuel usage I've seen so far, he might be able to get about another 8 or 10. But if I was him, I would come in the next, say, 2 laps. just to reduce the amount of fuel he's got to put in. So the more fuel he's got to put in, the more time he's got to see it in the pits. That's
Absolutely.
and Woodsy's closing that gap. So he's gone from about a 27 second gap to about a 26. So yeah, this is, mate, this is too stressful. This is too much to
It
work.
is.
Oh,
Look at that. Lurox is in 4th place now, so he's closed that gap. He managed to close that 2.1 to about being ahead of Robbo Sport. So Robbo Sport's losing a bit of time, but Mountain Goat is a little bit out of the picture with the older set of tyres. So the Robbo Sport guys will have to work together to try and close up that gap between Gabans and Discwood 1. So what we saw in the first stint, DJ, is probably going to come back into fruition in the last stint of the race.
yeah, obviously Gabans has got that 1.2 behind Woodsy and then a 2.4 behind Lurox. So I'm just wondering if he's going to catch Woodsy before they catch him, or if vice versa. But I was just seeing Lurox and Robbo are doing a little bit of lap coming in. No, it's not. There's another lap car behind him. That's fine. Yeah, it's Lockie is unfortunately dropped back pretty far down, so it looks like he's running his own race at the moment. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. We actually thought he was having a good strategy, but unfortunately, that the full fuel and no tyres, it kind of just backfired him on Blocky and down in 7th place. So a little bit unfortunate for him. He'll be banking on Mountain Goat making a pit stop for tyres, but as we still see here, lap 118 of 158, Speedy Tyres still hasn't come to the pits yet, so he's looking at another maybe about 3 to 4 more laps on that fuel tank, and he's going to come in for maybe a short fuel stint, and hopefully, between him and Woods, if he short fuels that car to about 40%, he might be just ahead of Diswood, but I just don't know what the gap's going to be towards the end of it.
I think Woodsy's eating too much of that gap up, that if he does short fuel, see then, this is the, I don't know, man, like I'm not good with fuel saving at the best of times. As we see him coming to the pits now, so exactly right. So this is definitely going to be one to watch. So where is Woodsy? He's coming onto the back straight now.
So this will be the game changer, ladies and gentlemen. This is the final stint. We have Speedy Tyres in the pit lane with Diswood 1 hot on his heels, right up the back, coming in towards the pit lane. It is the CP Motorsport Car 41 in Speedy Tyres coming into the pit lane. He's going to put on a full fill of fuel. Where is Woodsy? He's on the main straight, but is he going to overtake Speedy Tyres when he comes out of the pit lane? He does, so he takes the lead. Whereas about Speedy Tyres, he's actually come out. No, he hasn't actually. Actually, he has come out.
He has.
He's come out, and his fuel is about. How much fuel has he put in? About 40 something. Yeah, there's that.
Between 30 and 40. Yeah. So now this has gone into a 5. Give it a couple of laps, and I think this is going to turn into a 5-way finish for the lead. So we've got Lurox and Robbo together, and then we've got Gabans and Speedy together. So Woodsy, and then they're closed, they're hot in, they see it, mate, this is going to be a pretty intense finish.
Mate, we've got about 49 laps to go, ladies and gentlemen, but we have the CP boys in Diswood 1 lead the way ahead of Gabans, the It's Racing Esports driver, Car 55, with Speedy Tyres doing an excellent strategy to put less fuel on that car, and now he's right behind Gabans, so he might be able to save an extra lap or two being behind Gabans. As I see Gabans try to go for a move on Woodsy. Does he make that move stick around the outside on the final corner? No, he doesn't. He's going to stick right behind. They're still going side by side here. Woodsy's going to give him a little bit of space there on the exit. And what is the gap between those guys? It is still going side by side between those drivers, but they're going to have to work together to try and pull away from the Robbo Sport guys. Because those Robbo Sport drivers in Lurox and Robbo, they're coming thick and fast.
Yeah, this is intense. This is going to be for a very intense finish, and obviously we do know 5 laps to go, there will be no safety car. So if anything happens within 5 laps, nothing's happened so far, but if anything does happen, we have no safety car for those last laps. So the good old Nissan here, he's used 4% of fuel in
I think it's been blasting the radio, just keeping the aircon on. That's the best way to burn fuel.
Yeah.
Oh, but look at this, DJ. The CP boys are working together, just getting into their own train, and they're pushing each other along. As we see, Cabans doesn't have any slipstream at all, and the CP boys are working on a CP Motorsports train. And look at that, they've moved themselves up into first and second place on lap 122. So as we run through the grid, nice and quick, we have the CP boys, Diswood 1, and Speedy Tyres in first and second, with Cabans in third place. Lurox and Robbo in the Robbo Sport camp in 4th and 5th, with Mountain Goat down in 6th place. I believe he's coming to the pits for the last time, and he's got Blocky Rex right behind him in 7th place. In 8th place we have Ice R Benjo 19. So nice performance by Benjo to be in the 8 there, with Marchy Boy 96 in 9th place, with Venti Supersoft rounding up the 10. Where we will have SS Boy in 11th with Devlin Calypso, our last runner of the Formula Track Stars here at Blue Moon Bay. It's a non-championship round, but these guys are fighting it like it is the last race of season 2021, DJ.
Yeah, they're having a definitely good race here, but we can see SS Boy and Devlin are fighting for position here, so they are unfortunately a couple of laps down. But they are fighting for their own position, so
a little bit of bragging rights there. Who takes second last? Who takes last place? You know, a bit of that battle there. I think more or less we all started in that area. We were battling for bragging rights, and then we move ourselves up towards podiums and victories. So that's the progression when it comes to league racing, ladies and gentlemen. It's a little bit hard to do it in FIAs, but we do see the best of the best in the FIA go on world tours, and they have great battles against Europeans and the Japanese and even the Americans. So you can get really far when it comes to FIAs and online racing, but I guess for most drivers, where they all come from, it's definitely league racing is the way to go.
Yeah, well, obviously you don't have the dirtiness of the FIA, if that's the case. So I don't know. I mean, I much enjoy the league racing side of things. Obviously, the community as well. It's a really nice community too. So the FIA, I don't know. It's just kind of in the daily races. That stuff's kind of very, very risky. They take very ambitious moves, and they're just kind of like, all right, you made a long dirty move on me, mate. I'm just going to make it even worse than you. So.
Exactly right. But I actually did see caught on the leaderboard that Blocky actually has moved up ahead of Mountain Goat. So those guys will be fighting it out for 6th place on the track there. So nowhere near the top 5, unfortunately. It's going to be either CP Motorsports, RoboSport Racing, or It's Racing Esports taking the victory tonight, ladies and gentlemen. But so far we do have Cabans leading the way ahead of the CP boys in Diswood and Speedy, with Lurox and Robbo right behind in 4th and 5th. They're not really closing up as much towards the CP boys, because you can see the CP boys and Cabans, they're doing a little bit of a tactic here. They're actually trying to push Cabans so that way they don't get caught by the RoboSport boys. So that's actually a really good strategy that the CP boys are doing. They're working together to work with Cabans to try and pull away from the RoboSport. So a very interesting tactic here, but it's not. I would say they're in striking range. I would say Lurox and Robbo. That's for sure.
They are, but I've noticed that the RSR boys are strong through turn 1 and 2. But there's 3. Is it 3 corners or 4 corners on his track?
Yeah, 3 corners.
Yeah, so they're strong through turn 1, but then the East Pack is stronger through turn 2 and 3. So they pull a little bit of time back here. So they pull point 2 back, and then now they've just lost it. So,
yep.
Definitely going to be one to watch. So we've got 30 laps, 31, 30 laps just pulled,
and they've just pulled 2 seconds on RoboSport and Lurox there. So I do believe I did see Lurox make a bit of a mistake there, and that's giving RoboSport 4th place there. So a little bit of work to do for the RoboSport camp. They're not out of it, that's for sure. There's still a long way to go, so they're going to have to work together. And like we saw with Robbo and Woodsy, with Robbo ahead of Lurox, I wonder if Lurox is going to deploy the same strategy of pushing RoboSport along this train and try and close that gap, because now you can see Lurox using a bit of his overtake to try and get RoboSport to move his way up towards the front. Because obviously the strategy with Robbo being behind is not really helping Lurox catch up to the CDP boys.
Yeah, I think Robbo's what Speedy trying to do here is just Speedy's gone for a little bit of an ambitious movement, so he might have seen himself carry a little bit too much speed and he's gone up the inside there. So Woodsy will probably drop back behind Speedy here, or Speedy will drop back in. Yeah, there he is. So Speedy's dropped back in behind Woodsy, and he'll push these two guys along. So I guess this is kind of the tactic that I'd play. So I'd just try and be here in Woodsy's position, and Speedy's just try and push him along, and instead of making it a 5-car fight, finish making it a 3-car fight. So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a very hectic one with about 30 laps to go. So.
Exactly. So we're about to start lap 31, 131 of 158. Ladies and gentlemen, we're nearing the end of the Trackstars Blue Moon Bay 500 for the Formula Trackstars. We have the It's Racing esports team manager in Jarman Dowd actually watching the stream and cheering on his driver in Gabans, leading the way. But as he says in the comments, he believes that Speedy Tyres is in the box seat with the freshened compounds out of everybody else. The freshened tyres are probably a lot less fuel than this would with excellent fuel saving. So I wouldn't count out with Speedy Tyres being the victor of this race. But as you can see with the illuminated lights, DJ, you can see Gabans is actually on the red, and then you can see Woods and Speedy are on the green. So that means that Gabans has used a lot more overtake than these guys, and than the CP Motorsport drivers, and he's going to be nearing the end of his usage of when it comes to overtake, and that'll be crucial come the last 4 or 5 laps.
Yeah, well, I think if I look at it, so Gabans has got about an 8th of a tank, I think. Probably maybe about a 6th or 5th or so. Math, I suck at it.
As you mentioned it plenty of times during the stream.
So yeah, Woodsy's got, I think, about 30-ish%, and then Speedy has nearly a full tank. So it's got about 85-90%.
Exactly right. So I did see Jarman put up a poll on the YouTube, so maybe he might make a new poll. Who's going to win between these top 3 drivers? Because I don't think they're still pulling away from the Robo Sport camp. It's still not over yet for the Robo Sport guys, but I feel like they're just running out of time. The laps are ticking over very fast, around about those 37-second laps, and I think they're just going to run out of time to close up to the gap. But they do have Blocky, and they do have Blocky Rex, and they do have Mountain Goat right there as well. So they might be able to use them to help them close the gap, but I just don't know. I'm not so sure if the Robo Sport guys can close that gap.
Yeah, I think that's kind of gapping out a little bit too far for those guys to catch up. But I don't rule them out. I don't rule any driver out until, say, a couple of laps to go, unless they're a little bit far behind. So I'd like to say Blocky's in the fight for this, but I think that he's a little bit too far back. About 41 seconds.
Yeah, he's definitely a lap down, unfortunately. So top 5 managed to lap the entire field, all the way up to 6th place. So still a pretty good performance there, and it's great to see our 12 drivers joining us here at Trackstars Racing Series for the Blue Moon Bay 500. So thanks to all of our drivers and our supporters here on the Trackstars Racing Series YouTube. We hope you guys are having a great time, and I'm sure of us in the commentary we're having an excellent time, and we just don't know who's going to win. So it's all up to the drivers and their tyres and their fuel and their overtakes. So it'll be an interesting tactic to see who takes victory. Will it be Gabans? Will it be Woods? Will it be Speedy Tyres? Will it be Lurox? Will it be Robbo? Who knows? But time will tell in the next 23 laps. But so far we still have It's Racing Esports in Gabans leading the way ahead of Speedy Tyres and Diswood 1.
It's definitely going to be a very exciting finish for this one. Back. I'm not too sure what's happening. He's closing the gap up a little bit more, so I definitely want that gap to lose.
They've dropped a bit of time there, so something happened. We didn't catch that. What happened to him? Unless he's trying to unless he probably knows. Unless he's playing the strategy like maybe he played with you in the touring cars. He's just going to drop back. Just try and help Speedy along, save a bit of tyres, save a bit of fuel, and then just come towards that charge in the last few laps, as he's definitely closed that gap up massively. So It'll be a matter of time between Speedy and Woodsy to make that move on Gabans, but so far he's still leading the way, he's still holding his own there. And you could say Gabans is having a great time, just thinking, oh, these guys are not overtaking me, and hopefully I win it by lap 158. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, well, you're not on, especially on an oval. You're not the winner until you come past the checkered flag. Really, I don't know if many people watch NASCAR and stuff like that, but they kind of do this same thing, and then the last two corners they start diving and tussling, and then that's when the big accidents happen because they're so hungry for the finish. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But what I can see here, look at the gap between Lurox and Woods, 3.6 now. So I think Robosport is out of it. I believe Robosport and Lurox 22, they're out of the contention. So it's a bit unlucky that they could try their best to try and close the gap with 3.7, about 4 seconds. A bit too much to ask for, unfortunately.
Yeah, especially. He's dropped back on the exit there. So looks like Gabans tyres are starting to get the best of him at the moment, as we see Woodsy and Speedy. Speedy has the best set of tyres in the field at the moment. So I honestly think Speedy, as Jarman said, Speedy's in the box seat, even though he's at the front.
Exactly right. So I've casted my vote in for the YouTube poll, and hopefully you guys do the same as well. Who's going to win the Blue Moon Bay 500? Will it be Speedy Tyres from the CP Motorsports Garage? Will it be Distwood 1? Who was runner-up at the Track Stars Racing Series in Touring Cars Championship. He was runner-up behind the man in the commentator box, DJSX Pointed, Ryan Palmer. Or will we have Gabans in the It's Racing Esports camp take the victory? So cast your votes in, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be an exciting 28 laps to go, but we have Speedy Tyres leading the way ahead of Distwood 1 and Gabans in 3rd place.
It's going to be an exciting finish. I think that's 18 laps to go, my friend. Around lap 141,
yeah.
58.
There we go.
So, very exciting finish.
Absolutely, but look at that. They're dropping Gabans pretty quickly. The CP boys are working very hard together, so they're going to work together to try and push. They're going to form their own little train, and they're going to try and push away from Gabans. But Gabans gains most of his time through that last corner. DJ, he looks like he's got a really good setup, and look at that. He's just trying to make a move on Distwood 1. Will he go for the inside move? He's going to tuck right back behind Distwood 1. Into turn 1, but we are about 18 laps to go until we get to the end, or 17 laps before we get to the end of this race, and still can't predict who's going to win there, but Speedy Tyres and Distwood working together to try and pull away from Gabans, that's for sure. And look at that, they just nose to tail all together all the time. So, but look at that, look at where Gabans finds most of his time. It's just contact is made between the two drivers at CP Motorsport, as we see the replay there. A big disastrous moment there for the two teammates in Speedy Tyres and Distwood. What's happened here? As we see the replay, they come in together, and a bit of a touch there between Speedy and Distwood there. Woodsy got a little bit too close towards Speedy Tyres there, and huge moment, almost drew the race for those drivers.
Yeah, that was a very I don't know, man. As I said, this is too stressful in the box, but that was
a hard mouth moment.
Yeah, I think Speedy just got a little bit too wide on the exit there, and Woodsy didn't expect it. But as you said, I think Speedy and Woodsy are trying to team up together to try and pull their time away from Gabans. But that last corner is definitely Gabans' strongest. So.
Absolutely, they can see turn 1 and turn 2, they're working together in that train, but when it comes to a corner and Gabans is on his own, he just pulls in that gap massively. So we'll wait and see what it looks like at the end of this corner here, whether he actually pulls out the gap or whether they actually more or less don't know. It's actually, so it's the opposite way around. So if you're not in the tow, or if you are in the tow of the guy in first place, you will gain on time pretty quickly. And look at the CP boys working together again, going side by side, making a train. And as we see Gabans making a move, trying to defend his position from Distwood, but it looks like We're still holding our first place there. We're on lap 145 of 158. We're at the closing stages, ladies and gentlemen. Gaban still leads the way ahead of Diswood 1 and Speedy Tyres in third place. Lurox 22 and RoboSport Racing out of the contention, unfortunately. They're about, that gap has just opened up a bit too much between those drivers, unfortunately, for the RoboSport boys. And we see Mountain Goat and Blocky having a nice battle here. So, actually, do you think, what is the gap between Lurox and Speedy? Like, what is that gap now? Because I wonder if Blocky and Goat, do you think that Goat and Blocky might actually help the RoboSport boys to close the gap? I wonder if that could be the case. I feel like it's a little bit too little, too late, because we're about 13 laps to go, and it's a big mammoth task to try and push those guys, and they've definitely pulled away from Blocky and Mountain Goat on that right up at turn 2. So I thought it was going to be a little bit more of a bit tactical for the RoboSports to get those guys to help them, but I think it's too little, too late, unfortunately, for the RoboSport camp.
Yeah, I mean, it probably would have been nice to see Goat and Blocky, but I think Blocky's just trying to fight with Mountain Goat because they are racing for position, unfortunately. Yeah. They are a lap down on Lurox and Robbo, but yeah, if I was Robbo, I'd definitely be hoping for Goat to maybe give us a bit of a push to try and get us in front. But yeah, I think it is a little bit too late. So 3.6, 12 laps to go. Yeah, no, it's. I personally think it's a little bit too far. So.
It's a big shame. It's what could have been for the RoboSport camp. There were pole position for Lurox 22 and 4th place for RoboSport there. So unfortunate stuff going on there. But look at the CP boys. They're just swapping positions there with Speedy Tyres tucking in right behind Woodsy in 2nd place. But Gaban still leads the way. We're about lap 148 of 158, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to have 10 laps to go. So 10 laps to go. Place your bets. Hope you placed your bets on the poll that we've created on YouTube. Who have you got for your money, DJ?
I'd like to say Speedy, but I definitely got to go with my buddy Woodsy. I've had some good races with Woodsy here. I'd put my fellow teammate for next year in Gabans, but I don't know if those tyres are going to deliver the race. But especially with not having much overtake, so I think.
And look at Gabans. He's stucking in right behind Benja to get a little bit of slipstream there, but Benja pulls out of that very nicely. So I think I see on the track map. The track map is clear. We have 10 laps to go. It is CP Motorsports versus It's Racing Esports. We have Gabans leading the pack of the CP drivers in the duo of Diswood 1 and Speedy Tyres in 2nd and 3rd place. But they're about to make a move on Gabans there. Does he make that move? Does he make a move on Gabans? He does. And look at the CP boys working together on the train. And we see CP Motorsports take the lead, 1st and 2nd place, and Gabans is right behind. Woods is running a bit wide, and Speedy Tyres now takes the lead of the race. So the CP boys are working very hard together, but Woodsy pushes a bit too much and runs wide to turn 1, but he's going to tuck in right behind Speedy's slipstream. And look at the usage of overtake. Woodsy's using his overtake, but I wonder if Speedy's got plenty of overtake left on his car.
Yeah, he's got a fair few. So if I was these guys, Gabans pulled that gap from half a second to now back on the back. So Gabans is definitely stronger through turn 2 and 3, but I don't know.
Oh, he's making a move. Is he gonna? Oh, he's made a move on Speedy's. Does he make that move? He does, but he doesn't. He just got his nose in there, but he just couldn't pull it up there. So unfortunately for Gabans, he has to sit behind once again. Behind Speedy Tyres and Diswood 1, but it is the CP duo of Speedy and Woodsy 1st and 2nd place. But yeah, you can see the illuminated lights. Woodsy's got basically nothing left when it comes to overtake, and Speedy's got plenty of usage of overtake here. So Speedy's 2nd race in the Formula Track Stars, and he might be able to come out with a victory.
Yeah, I don't know, man. This is going to be rough with 6 to go, but maybe that tune of Gabans might have him in, see, because he might chuck it up the inside coming into the last corner and then use that slingshot to get him to the win. But yeah, man, it's really close. But look at that gap now. That gap's down to 0.8. So have these two just pulled that gap on Gabans for him not to catch back up. That's gone to 0.9 now.
So I wonder if that's it. I wonder if Gabans' tyres have been shot now. So that might be it for Gabans. Oh, this is so close. If they get that gap with Gabans over a second, that is it. Gabans is out of it, but he's caught up a little bit on the exit of turn 1 there, so he's definitely not out of it. But I think he's running out of overtake juice. But it is still Speedy Tyres leading the way, leading ahead of Diswood 1. First and second place, and they've definitely pulled the gap 1.5, 1.2 over Gabans, and that is it. I believe Gabans is out of the running, and we have the CP boys in first and second place. It is a CP Motorsport battle between Speedy Tyres and Diswood 1. Who takes victory? We are about 5 laps to go here at the Trackstars Racing Series Blue Moon Bay 500.
Yeah, Gabans has a little bit of overtake left, but I'm not. He might use that to try and catch back up. I'm not really sure if his tyres are the same as Woodsy. Pretty much the same as Woodsy, but Speedy's got the best. I think Speedy is in the best position here at the moment, but definitely having Woodsy behind him with that much overtake left, he's got enough just to give him a little splash and dash at the end through turn 2 and 3. So has Speedy used efficient enough for his overtake?
Now he's using his overtake. He just did a little bit of a squirt there to try and pull ahead of Diswood 1. They've definitely dropped Gabans there, that's for sure, but full credit to Gabans there, and I'm pretty sure his team boss in Jarman is going to be very happy with Gabans' performance there at the Blue Moon Bay 500, and to have a third place for the It's Racing Esports Car 55. He's done himself a great job, but this is where the battle is. The CP boys between Speedy Tyres and Diswood 1. Diswood 1 recently signed up with CP Motorsports at the conclusion of the Red Bull Ring of the Styrian Sprint at the Trackstars Racing Series Touring Car Championship, where he signed on to be the lead driver for CP Motorsports, where unfortunately we didn't have our Huso brothers joining us in the main series, so they had to scout a few more drivers, and they managed to scout Diswood 1 and V Papare 2, who unfortunately couldn't make it tonight, but they've got a stand-in in Speedy Tyres that is leading the way and into CP Motorsports 1-2. So can Woodsy get the victory? Can Speedy get the victory? We've only got 2 laps to go, ladies and gentlemen. Who takes it out? But it is at CP Motorsports 1-2. It's going to be a bragging rights between the 2 drivers, DJ.
Yeah, this is definitely a one to watch, but we still got a battle going on here with Lurox and Robbo, so I wonder if Robbo and Lurox are just looking like who's going to take the win out of this one, but unfortunately they're a little bit far back there, so Robbo, I'll just be waiting behind. Robbo has overtake and Lurox doesn't. Now does this throw another spanner in the works for position?
Oh, this is enthralling stuff, DJ. This is incredible. But here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We are coming on to the final lap here of the Trackstars Racing Series Formula Trackstars Blue Moon Bay 500. We have the duo of Speedy Tyres and Diswood 1 leading the way for the final time. We've got Speedy Tyres out ahead. He's got himself a 0.5 margin over Diswood 1, so this is the perfect time for Speedy Tyres to use his overtake, and he's got plenty of it left. It looks like Diswood has come into contact with the wall, and I believe the conclusion that we wanted has fallen away, DJ. So unfortunately for Diswood, he's going to have to settle for second place. But look at, he's closing the gap pretty much by a fair bit, and it's going to come down towards the final corner. Can he get himself the best exit possible on the exit of the final corner? He's closing that gap. He's closing, but it's not enough. It has gone towards Speedy Tyres, and Speedy Tyres takes the victory. But what is it? Oh, he takes the victory.
No, Speedy. They've done a formation finish. They've done a formation finish, and Woodsy almost shanked that off Speedy because of that. Oh my god!
That is unbelievable conclusion tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We had Speedy Tyres and Diswood taking out the first 2 steps of the podium with Gabans. Big congratulations to Gabans and the It's Racing Esports 55 to take third and the podium position for the It's Racing Esports, with Lurox and Robbo Sport. Actually, Lurox lost the position here. Robbo is in second place. In fourth place, sorry. Unbelievable scenes.
Oh, that was incredible stuff. That was absolutely incredible stuff.
Oh, big congratulations goes to Speedy Tyres. His first victory in Formula Trackstars, and in his second race, mind you. So excellent performance there by Speedy Tyres. But wow, I wonder what was the gap? What was the gap between Woods and Speedy at the conclusion of that? We'll have to go check the race results.
0.037. So yeah, for that formation finish.
That was very
That,
risky. That was
yeah,
tight.
that was incredible.
Oh my goodness, that is unbelievable. Whoa. I mean, I love racing a 500, but commentating a 500, that was
Oh,
incredible.
that
And
yeah.
I definitely enjoyed that for sure. But let's run you through the grid, ladies and gentlemen. It was Speedy Tyres coming out with the narrowest of victories over his teammate in Dishwood 1. So big congratulations to the CP boys in Speedy, and Woods in first and second, with Gabans in third place for the It's Racing Esports, with Robbo taking out fourth position bragging rights for the Robbo Sport Racing Camp. Obviously, that little bit of boost helped him towards the end of his charge there, with Lurox in fifth place, with Mountain Goat holding on against Blocky Rex in seventh place, with Isa Benjo 19, the best of the rest, in eighth place, with Marchie Boy 96 in ninth. Venti Super Soft making three ISAR cars in the top 10, with Devlin in 11th, and SS Boy for the MNR rounding up the final top 12. So my goodness, that's gonna thankfully, we don't have to race after this one, because we normally do Division 3, Division 2, but thankfully, there's no racing for us.
Oh mate, I
Because
don't know. Yeah.
unbelievable. And we got in the votes, ladies and gentlemen, who was our driver of the day? So I think in my end, I think it definitely has to go towards Speedy Tyres there, because to do the fuel saving that he did at the earliest stints, and even on that last stint, I think that definitely won him the race.
Yeah.
Was that fuel saving strategy?
Well, not only that strategy there by Woodsy as well, like to last that long out of a tank, to then run out of fuel on the line, mate. That is definitely a fuel calculation, to the percent. That's
Oh, looks
yeah.
and I see a comment from Distwood. It's just ran out of fuel on the line there. So I wonder if he's implying that to Speedy Tyres that ran out of fuel. So it wasn't a formation. It was just he ran out of fuel. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh, but looking at the polls so far, Speedy's leading the way, and I like I said, I think he deserves it. But I think all credit goes to, I think the driver of the day goes to all of our 12 drivers that have competed here tonight at Trackstars. It was a non-championship round, but a non-championship round made it an excellent feature race for our Sunday nights off from scoring any points. But Speedy Tyres takes the bragging rights for CP Motorsports, and in the car 4, yes, Papa, he is driving your car 4, but that doesn't classify as your victory, mate. So get on your bike and grab a victory if you want.
Yeah, that was incredible. That was phenomenal.
Absolutely
Look
right.
at SS Boy in the chat here. It's racing. How does it feel to be lapped 156 times?
Oh, that's incredible. I wonder if we can see if we can maybe get, before we cut off the stream, maybe we might be able to get Speedy and Woodsy in the chat in the stream. Maybe we might be able to get those guys in and have a bit of a chat with them and see what their tactics were when it comes to those last bit. Yes. So I would say let's call in our top 3. Let's get Gabans, let's get Speedy, and let's get Dishwood in the chat. So let's get them in let's invite them over. So bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. We will get those guys into the chat, and we will send those out to our drivers.
Right, see.
Get Speedy. Jump in there. Just send out some messages to them. Discord. Woods.
Jump in now, make the chat public.
Awesome. Alright. We'll wait for our drivers to we'll wait for our drivers to come in. We've got one more in Speedy. Hopefully you can jump in very shortly.
We've got Woodsy in here. Woodsy's muted. Gabans is deafened, so we just need him to unmute and undeafen themselves, and they'll be able to come through. The beautiful things of Discord voice chat. It's
Exactly. But yeah, so we'll get one more hopefully one more driver in Speedy Tyres into the chat, and then we can have a nice little chat. We can have a nice little interview with those guys. So have a nice little post-race discussions that was going on there. I wonder if Woodsy can hear me, try and see if you can get Speedy into the Discord chat as well. So there we go. We have our official polls of the driver of the day. That's gone out to Speedy Tyres on 50% there. And we have Diswood 1 on 33% with Gabans in third place there.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's jumping in. Oh, he said, yeah, why
we're
not?
having a couple of permission issues. There we go. There we go.
Hey! He's finally gave me permission. Ugh.
Yeah, it's I haven't dealt much with permissions on this one, so.
Yeah. Nah, what a race.
Oh, man. What a race. That's for sure. Just maybe undeafen your mic there, Gaban, so we can have a little bit of a chat there, but I think you do that through the...
Yeah, he's undeafened now.
There we go.
Yes, I had to unmute. Apologies.
Oh, good. We'll wait for Speedy Tyres, but once he gets himself into the Discord chat,
Yes.
so let's have a chat with you first, Gabans. There. So big congrats on third place for you, buddy. What was it like leading the What was it like leading the later stages of that race and getting hounded by the CP Motorsport cars?
Yes, I was kind of suspicious with them too behind me. And when I did my last stop, I deliberately put 10 laps of extra fuel, knowing the fact that I would have to push, couldn't feel safe, because I know I would not have anyone in front of me. And then I saw those two guys pretty much behind me. I'm like, well, I'm happy to push. I'm happy with third place. I'm pretty sure we get third. I'm very stoked with the race. Sportsmanship was fantastic by everyone. I really had an enjoyable race. I wish it was a championship race, but I'm happy. It was really great. And I also have to say good thank yous to everyone for the back markers. I know it's difficult to be in the back and always looking in your review mirrors for fast cars. I appreciate them. And they have been a bonus for me too as well to keep up with the CP cars. But congratulations to that team for doing a 1-2 finish. Splendid teamwork by them too. Like Robbo team was doing teamwork at the start of the race. Unfortunately, they break apart midway and I was able to finish third with its racing, the sole car only. So I'm really happy with that team. Thanks very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And for the CP boys, were you guys expecting maybe a little bit more of a charge from the Robbo Sport Camp? Were you actually surprised to see Lurox 22 and Robbo being so far back down when you thought maybe they were going to be fighting you guys for the victory?
Maybe a little bit. Honestly, I probably expected them to come out a little bit in front. Hence why I done the last stop a little bit early. So just to try and eliminate that. But once we're saying that, all right, Robbo's 1.5 behind, and then Lurox, I don't know, took all the pit lane's fuel and decided to race with it. Yeah, I was like, all right, we've got a race on here. So
exactly,
yeah.
Right. And you were actually helping Robbo Sport there. Was it like a bit of? Obviously it was a bit of a tactic to try and catch up towards Speedy and Gabans and Lurox, more or less?
Well, I figured that it's in his best interest to try and have as many team cars up the front, since he's already got one. But obviously you want to have yourself up there to try and work with your teammate, and it was my interest to want to try and get back up the front and get back with Speedy. So yeah, it was basically get in behind and push our way to the front, which went well.
Yeah, and that was a very close contact between you and Speedy Tyres on that final corner, with probably about, I don't know, it was about 12 laps or 15 laps to go. You guys had a bit of a moment there on the last corner, getting a bit of contact there. A bit of heart and mouth there for you, Speedy, because I think you got a little bit of a brush on the wall on that part of the race.
It was close, yeah. Yeah, it worked out alright for us, I think. But yeah, no.
I was waiting for a miracle for them two to take each other out and do a Steve Bradbury, but it didn't work out.
I honestly think I'd prefer racing, to be honest. This was too stressful in the combox, I'll tell you that much. Oh, mate, if you guys end up watching this back, mate, that was a definite stressful one, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, the start of the race was fantastic. We all just kept following Ed Jardins, like, yep, fuel saving, poor lyrics. He's at the front, he's burning fuel, and we're just following him all suit. That was good. I didn't expect to finish third, to be honest. I was aiming for 5th or 6th, but I don't know. That strategy I was working, top up fuel, go nuts. That worked out.
Well, anything can happen in oval racing, and as we've seen it,
Yes.
where we thought where the Robbo Sport guys would be more or less towards the front, where they actually did have the last victory in the 2020 Blue Moon Bay 500 in Farrell PS. He actually won in the inaugural Blue Moon Bay 500, but I was expecting a little bit more from the Robbo Sport, but unfortunately they just maybe didn't have the overall package compared to you guys at the top 3. So awesome stuff there, and big congrats to you, Speedy. Did you have a heart and mouth moment there when you ran out of fuel?
Yeah, I mean, there's no one I'd rather lose to than Woody, to be honest. But I figured when Woody was backing off on that final lap, I could see the gap opening up, and I thought, yeah, he's got to be having fuel issues, surely. And when I started my final lap, it showed up as 1.0 laps to go. I thought, oh, I'll be okay then. And I was misled, that's for sure.
I had 4 laps left at the end.
And
I had full power.
Definitely one question. Was that supposed to be a formation finish, or was that almost Woodsy staking that win from you, Speedy?
I'd like to say that was planned. But, I don't think so. No, it was.
Yeah,
It was close to them.
It's about as natural as a team finish as you'll ever get.
Hey, it was meant to be. It was meant to be.
Exactly right. Well, hey, it's gonna be a great photo for your boss to post on the CP Motorsports Facebook page. So give or take, it's a great photo for you guys.
Absolutely.
But that's your second race in the formulas and a victory for you, Speedy. So obviously it didn't take you too long to get comfortable in the SF cars, and hopefully we might be able to see a bit more of you maybe towards the latter end of the season, perhaps in the formula.
Hey, I wouldn't rule it out. Yep. I'll have to look on my schedule, but yeah, never say never.
Exactly right, and we've got the Track Stars Racing Series Bathurst 1000 coming up. How are you boys at CP Motorsports faring when it comes to the challenge at the Bathurst 1000? With you, Speedy Tyres, the reigning champ of season 2020 with EBM Brando. So you're going to give a little bit of advice to Woodsy when it comes to victory, or you're going to just work together to try and make that Honda a little bit more stable at the top of the hill?
Woody doesn't need my advice. He knows what he's doing. Yeah, we've got some work to do for the setup, for sure. If there's anyone that can work the tools, it's Woody. So I think we'll be all right. We're in with a good shot.
Absolutely.
There's no reason why we can't be fighting for the win. I don't see.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's definitely going to be probably the most toughest race out of everything. Obviously, Bathurst 1000 is known to be the toughest race on the V8 Supercar calendar, and even now with the Touring Cars Championship, it's probably going to be the toughest of them all, because it's going to be, the walls are closed, there's heavy damage, a scrape on the wall and you get heavy damage. I know when I was partnering with Woodsy last year in that last stint, he copped himself a bit of damage towards the end, unfortunately, and I had to make an emergency pit stop. But obviously, Woodsy, when it comes to damage, it's pretty gruesome around Bathurst.
Yeah, mate, it's the memories are there, and also the memories from Kyoto. So, yeah, exactly. Basically, my own best advice at the moment is just don't crash.
Yeah,
you got to be there at the end. So, I mean, we're pretty confident. We've got really good pace there. It's just about being consistent and trying to do a bit of research on how the Honda handles what do we call it? Dodgy tyres towards the end of the stint. So
I think as well you might notice the Honda may struggle going through the S's and through the dipper there, where likes of kind of the likes of the Nissan and the Lexus are kind of a bit more stable. Obviously, we know that the Nissan is, I'd say probably around the mountain, the most stable car, and then you got the Lexus behind it, and then the Honda with its obviously mid-engine rear-wheel drive, really loose rear end. So how do you think that'll go around there?
Mate, honestly, I think the Lexus is the prime package around there. I think Datsun's gonna be a bit too gnarly on its front tyres, and I think the Honda,
it'll be an interesting one with the Honda. I mean, you have to look back at the early when we did the sprint races and the track stars. It was all Hondas that took the victory. I think it was in Deadpool and It's Racing they took the victory in the It's Racing esports camp. So they're definitely not out of it. And if you have it in the best drivers' hands like yourself and Speedy Tyres and Duran 50 and V Papa, I'm pretty sure you guys will be more or less likely to get the cars up the front. Oh, and I also can't forget Gabans in the chat as well. He also drives in the Honda NSX as well. So how are you feeling, Gabans, when it comes to this? I mean, we heard the news, unfortunately, that your co-driver in Sir Slayer was unable to make the race. So hopefully It's Racing, the boss, is looking to find you another driver for the big event.
Yes, that's unfortunate due to our employment, as you are aware of. So therefore, he's kind of a bit stuck with work, like I was a couple of weeks ago. So I have to find a co-driver with it. I was thinking of someone like SR Pups, but currently he's out on the sea as well, so he can come as well. There's one other driver I can think of. He might make his debut if we can't find anyone else.
Ooh, okay, so exciting news to see at CP Motor, to see at It's Racing Esports there. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining in the commentary box. Big congratulations to the CP boys and Speedy Tyres and Justwood 1 and Gabans for It's Racing Esports in third place. So, thanks, guys. Thanks for making the Blue Moon Bay 500 a special occasion for us at Trackstars Racing Series.
Thank you very much, gents. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
All right, and on that note, DJ, it's time to end the stream here. So thank you very much for all of our all of our tuners here at Trackstars Racing Series YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in for that last ending of the race where we had Speedy Tyres take victory ahead of Justwood 1 by the narrowest of margins there, followed by Gabans in the It's Racing Esports SF19 Honda. So thanks to all of our viewers for tuning in, and on behalf of myself and DJ SX Pointed and Ryan Palmer, thanks so much, and we will catch you guys in the next stream.
Thanks, guys.